Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Captain Quasar, and welcome back to another unofficial H3 waiting room. Today we're gonna just jump right into the Internal Affairs Idubbbz video. I didn't get to finish it on Wednesday. Sorry for the abrupt ending. You know, stuff happens in life, and you gotta just keep going with the flow, bob and weave. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think we're just going to jump right into it and just get started because it's an hour-long video and I like to give my 2 cents. So it might end up being like a quarter or more. So here we go. Internal Affairs Idubbbz by SomeOrdinaryGamers, also known as Muda-Ta-Har. Also known as a Muda-Ta-Har.
Yo, what up? That is the BIOS of one of the biggest commentary channels, one of the biggest police officers on...
Yeah, and sorry for anybody that was here on Wednesday or has already seen this. I'm going to start it over from the beginning just because my mental capacity is not capable of holding in 10 minutes of information that I listened to on Wednesday, so I got to listen to that beginning 10 minutes again. We need the introduction. We can't just jump. We can't dive right in. But yeah, so let's restart it. My bad.
Searching for.
I guess I'll just say what happened. On Wednesday, my mother called me, and I found out that my grandfather died. R.I.P. Truly rest in peace. You know, still processing it. We're not doing a regular funeral, you know, cremations and all that. But, like I said, you gotta roll with the punches. But, let's go.
They are a terrorist organization. Like, they are designated by the
Wake up.
Oh. Why did this just... What?
Alex Wasabi. Harley...
That was weird. I don't know why it switched to that.
Yo, what up? That is the BIOS of one of the biggest commentary channels, one of the biggest police officers on YouTube. Some of you may know him as Idubbbz. I know him as Ian. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, he's done a pretty good job back in the day of going after some of the most problematic creators on YouTube. People like Leafy is here, Keemstar, Tanamangjo, and most importantly, that React channel Epidemic. But in amongst all of that, he did things like Kickstarter crap.
Thank you for all the support in chat. I really appreciate it.
He looked at shitty projects people made. He went above and beyond the Call of Duty when it came to being a police officer. He even did bad unboxings. Now, he was, at a time, one of the best police officers.
Why didn't you let that clip play, Muda? Why didn't you let that clip play?
I would say recently his conduct has been a little bit unbecoming, which is entirely what Internal Affairs is all about. We're here to check in on what's been going on with Officer Idubbbz. Now, since Ian has actually left the police force, he has decided to mature. Instead of fusing two slurs together, he's making interesting documentaries. He's over-explaining his support of OnlyFans. And, of course, one of my personal favorites is, as an officer of the force, discovering empathy at the ripe, young, tender age of 31.
I think only in these past couple of years have I gained the ability empathy. I just can't help myself but feel for other people's pain and suffering.
Idubbbz, safe to say, doesn't actually have the same rapport with the former community, the commentary community, and has for the last few years been ingratiating himself towards a new, more politically charged community. But the department actually is more interested with some of the charitable works that Mr. Jama has actually decided.
I don't even know how to talk about what happened on the last H3 live stream, like the actual Wednesday's show. It was just an emotional day for me, I guess. There was a lot going on. The way that they completely dumped, just straight up threw down on Ian and Anissa. You kind of saw I don't think that it's necessarily anything too Like, obviously it's new information, but I think all it did was really solidify the character that we already presumed them to have. You know what I mean? Like, we already thought they were like that, and then hearing it from somebody who was interacting with them firsthand in multiple different like ways, in the fact that he helped Ian with boxing, and then also they were trying to get support for trying to end child marriage. That part was really interesting. The fact that they didn't want to give support to that, like, what? Like, I don't mean to be that guy, because I feel like it's kind of like what Hassan and all of them do, where they're like, oh, there's a genocide going on, there's more important things to talk about. You feel like it would have been a better video, a more compelling case to make, to talk about the fact that there is like still child marriage legal in the United States, like talking about like that would be a super interesting video if you wanted, because he has gotten like more into the political sphere, talking about different stuff. I don't know, just an idea.
To side with, notably Creator Clash. Now, charity to me is a personally important thing. I think it's great to give back money to impoverished communities.
Yeah, it was a beautiful shit-talking episode, and by shit-talking I mean telling us the facts. Yeah, but when the facts are that shitty, it is shit-talking, you know what I mean? Like, when the facts are that fucking garbage, when they do that little and still want all the glory for it. No guts, all glory. SMH my head.
Medical causes that desperately need progress, and of course to just help the fellow man. Charity is a way for all of us, no matter what our financial situation is in life, to help channel something in a positive sense. Charity is important in making progress, raising awareness, and most importantly, serving as the best criticism shield to any vanity project ever. Like Creator Clash 2, for instance, where having trauma processing parties with full entertainment, open bars, hotels completely rented out to influencers, all on the dime of people who donated, thinking...
Is that Ninja? Is this Ninja? I don't actually think it's Ninja, but it's a Ninja clone.
That the lion's share of that money...
I don't think it's Ninja. It doesn't have the same head shape.
...would go towards the causes that get listed at all these events, only to find out that these charitable events didn't actually donate any money to charity, at least when it came to Creator Clash 2.
Ethan needs to get Jack and Eric from Comment Etiquette back on the podcast and get him to also shit talk Idubbbz. That's what we need. Jack's Films and Eric from Comment Etiquette both just shitting on Idubbbz for another call in a beautiful episode, the same way that Harley's been calling in. We need more of the goofs and gaffes, but mixed in with the Warzone. It's been splendid. Keemstar Harley? Keemstar Harley? That's almost as crazy as Shaq Harley.
What the hell are we going to do? You know, I can't even think about doing a Creator Clash 3. We lost money and there's no money for charity. So what are we going to do to solve that?
Now, I've covered plenty of charities in the past, supported by influencers who had a pretty clear, clean image that turned out to either be crypto scams or, at worst, money stockpiles that remained losing value until...
I said this on Wednesday and I'll say it again. He also spoke down on the FUPA fund and retracted the video because it was untrue. At least to, I think you could say it was unsuccessful, the FUPA fund, but it wasn't a scam. So you don't have a completely clean record, Muda-Ta-Har. Muda.
Till one of my investigations contributed to hundreds of thousands of dollars finally heading to where it was supposed to be headed years down the road. Now, I personally feel, though, Creator Clash may not only be one of the worst tragedies in charitable fundraising by content creators, but also one that turned into something malicious down the road the more and more that it progressed. So let's get started.
I said the same thing about Idubbbz. Why does Muda-Ta-Har have an autofocus on? You're sitting in one place.
Do something malicious down the road.
Also, why is your autofocus going crazy?
More and more that it progressed. So let's get started. Idubbbz, also known as Ian Jama, the husband of Anissa Jama, both these people were the initial faces of Creator Clash, alongside a Mike Lenardi.
Not gonna lie, I thought it was Joma.
A co-organizer, and it started out pretty positively. Like, the first event came around May 14, 2022, hosted by Ian, his wife. Event was managed by Ego Raptor, or Aaron Hansen's company.
This fight is pretty funny. This looks like just two buddies. Your two uncles that got a little too drunk at the party. They're like, let me see what you got. You still got it in you?
Hosted by Ian, his wife. Event was managed by Ego Raptor, or Aaron Hansen's company, Real Good Touring, who also actually fought in 2 of these events. Now, Creator Clash wanted a pretty healthy set of fighters. Big channels like Dr. Mike, Ian himself was fighting, Michael Reeves, fan favorites like Dad would show up delivering pretty interesting fights. The community as a whole on the internet rallied behind it, and by all metrics, I would say it was a pretty successful event. It was hosted in the Youngling Center in Tampa, Florida, and CC1 sold over 100,000 pay-per-view buys, and tons of influencers and their fans.
Got it. I gotta say, guys, if you were doing a YouTube boxing event, like if it was me personally, I don't care how much training I've done. My training is just going to be to make sure I can go through every single round. And all I'm doing is throwing huge, wild haymakers. You can't even, like, just not even looking at where I'm swinging, in the hopes that I either knock somebody out or get knocked out in glorious fashion. You got to make it entertaining.
Showed up, and from what I understand, that arena they rented was actually sold out, which is, again, amazing. From a charity perspective,
I'm not forgiving the show until Harley and Goss Talk episode. Harley just needs to come back every single episode until they finally do Goss Talk. He'll just keep coming back and be dragged further and further down and into the drama until we finally get like one Haley Justin Bieber episode, and then it's like, okay, Harley, we'll talk to you again in a few years. Have a good life.
The American Heart Association, the Alzheimer's Association, and the Healing Horse Therapy Center received all the net profits, according to a press release, to the tune of a combined $1.3 million. Now, it's also worth pointing out that the Healing Horse charity actually did belong to Aaron's mother. Now, that by itself isn't a major issue, but generally speaking, I don't like it personally when one of the people involved in the entire organization of the event is actually related to somebody receiving any disbursement of funds. I feel conflicts like...
Exactly. That's why Dad's fights are the most entertaining, because Dad actually is going in there for blood. But this was also a crazy part, the fact that one of the original, like... Because I remember I was bringing that up, that because people were saying that, what was it, the Alzheimer Foundation gave money to cops, but that was only one of the foundations that they donated to in Creator Clash 1, but apparently one of the other foundations that they donated to was owned by Aaron's mom, or at least part owner or something, I don't know. That is a little bit interesting. And at least... I think, again, it's like none of these things are giving us like new viewpoints where we're like, whoa, what? It's like we just keep getting extra cherries. They just keep putting cherries on top over and over again.
Like that shouldn't ever be possible in the
They dug a 6-foot grave and then went, how's 12 feet? And just kept going.
First place. But again, to go back to the event, Idubbbz even had to say that when it came to the event, these creators want to show respect to boxing while putting on an entertaining show that reflects their personalities, said Idubbbz. It was really important to us that creators took this experience seriously, and let me tell you, they absolutely have. They've been training for months, and we can't wait to show you what they can bring to the table. Influencer boxing has previously been very money-driven, and our goal is to bring attention back to the sport while delivering fun and interesting personalities for an all-around great show for some great causes. Now that sounds like a great PR answer, but this clip...
Why did we just cut to gameplay randomly?
that I found on the H3 podcast, I think really kind of shines a different light into why I think Ian and Anissa actually cared about doing this event. And it doesn't sound as altruistic as one would expect.
Just skipping, I'm sorry, just cutting to gameplay almost 6 minutes into the video is hilarious. There is like a few more places with gameplay. You could have just like added in the beginning parts of the clip just without audio while you're talking. Like, I don't know, I wasn't expecting this for an hour-long video.
I really do feel that for both of these people, it almost was a way for them to ingratiate themselves with the community, to basically...
This is what I should have done for my Charlie Kirk video. Just cut in like Minecraft footage.
Have a yearly event that would bring influencers together and effectively keep them almost perma-relevant down the road, right?
If it works out, then we can do that, and there could always be a charity aspect to it. But I think the main goal is just to get the people paid who are involved in making it happen, rather than like making exorbitant amounts of money.
So your goal is to build an institution of sorts, this Creator Clash, where you can have people.
Fun.
There's a champion every year.
Yeah, it's a party.
Interesting.
It's like a way more exciting VidCon. Or like I want it to be like influencers can like care about this and fans can care about this and like you can go watch it and have like a build up, like maybe parties before and like stuff like that.
Yeah, because we've gone to like the last Jake Paul event and it was crazy the amount of
That would be a funny thing to do in a video. I know this is completely off topic, I'm just reading chat, but like in a video, have it be like an hour long and never bring up the fact that every once in a while it cuts to gameplay footage, but then have like 4 or 5 other videos playing over the top of like Subway Surfers and Kinetic Sand. Just all, like hot knife videos, all of that. That would honestly be that is the next meta. But then how do you turn that into shorts? That's the question.
influencers that were there.
It's like if it's all over the screen, you can't really compress that down into a short.
To see it, they weren't all my cup of tea.
Sure.
But it was exciting. Everyone wanted to be there. It was fun, and I think if we can harness some of that, but have it be even more exciting, because all of our fighters are mystery fights. You don't know how it's going to go, and then you have this, charity element. It's just like a win all around.
So in the future, maybe there'll be more profits potentially for you guys.
Potentially, but we're not looking at that really.
Now, one thing that we love to do here at the Internal Affairs...
I do need to add it to the faux crime series. Don't worry, it's coming. It's in the works. It takes some time to create, fake serial killers and such. It'll pop up as a side channel and it'll be, it sounds like I'm joking. I am actually working on something, but I don't know how it's going to come out. We'll see. It might just be a 10-minute video, but that would be even funnier, honestly.
Now, one thing we love to do as Internal Affairs is look through documentation.
Maybe I'll make, I'm sorry, this just brought me on a full tangent. Maybe I'll make a faux crime video, like faux crime series on a separate channel, and I won't bring up the fact that it's my videos. I'll use like a voice modulator, and I'll react to them on this channel and be like, wow, I can't believe that. That story's insane.
So we decided to go to ProPublica, go through their nonprofit explorer, and we actually did find the Healing Horse Therapy Center right here. It's actually a 501c charity, and if you want to know a rough idea of how much they kind of received from Creator Clash, well, we can open up some of their filings and look at them really closely. So for instance, in 2022, when Creator Clash was...
Shorts is honestly a great idea for that. Oh my god, we're coming up with so many new metas today.
A thing, you can actually open up the 990 filing over here, and if you scroll all the way to the contributions and grants, the prior year they actually received somewhere around 3,958, as opposed to the year of Creator Clash 1, they actually ended up receiving over $250,000. Now, the thing is, when you pull up the 990 filings over here, if we go to just 2014, one of the interesting things that come out of this is you can kind of get a rough idea of how much Creator Clash actually did contribute. Now at this point, you can see in 2020, the actual charity gets $87,000, probably from a different event. And of course, in 2021, the charity ends up getting $3,958. Then of course, when Creator Clash 1 happened, you can see that they actually got a massive spike. They went down, eventually to the point receiving like, what, $75 in just 1 year when it came from public support. Now, the thing about all this is going back to the 2020 filings, the 2022 filings, I actually couldn't find any mention of Creator Clash as a company.
Alex, can we make a fake podcast where we just put it on shorts and we act like we put links to a full video that doesn't exist? Like it'll just bring you to a page that just says this video doesn't exist.
Which I think kind of sucks because it shows me that these forms are probably not filled out well at all, if anything, which, I don't know, the more I look into a lot of these charities, the more I realize that the paperwork could be a lot better. But you know what? The reason why we looked into this was also just to see that there was money being sent out. And of course, when I looked further into these actual charities, at least with Aaron's mom's charity, it didn't seem like they were paying themselves what appeared to be exorbitant salary.
Let's go. This is what I'm talking about. This is how charities are supposed to be. Don't believe all these fucking charities that are like, oh, well, I actually get paid $250,000 a year, but it's just because I'm the head. It's like I'm the president, so I deserve all that money. Like, what are you talking about? You should make money through other ventures.
They just took money in and they spent it on obviously dealing with horse therapy stuff. So again, it seems pretty much on the up and up. Money was actually given. And the only reason I checked this was because when we go down the road, it's going to be really hard to believe what Ian and Anissa and really a lot of people associated with the event actually say. There's a lot of conflicting information. And as an officer, I don't like to look at conflicting information, okay? Because there's a fuck ton of stupid people in the room and I try not to be one of them, okay? I make mistakes, but I try to look at the data as much as I can. So anyways, to go down over here, the first event was actually successful. Charities got money, and all in all, it was actually a pretty serious win for Ian and Anissa in terms of it just being a good overall event. I mean, I didn't have any issues with it. One would think if this is how good the first event was, theoretically, Creator Clash 2 should absolutely be a success. Until, of course, it isn't. Now, Creator Clash 2 was announced January 24, 2023, and it was poised to happen at a bigger venue this time, Emily Arena, and once again in the city of Tampa, Florida. So Idubbbz once again was set to fight this time with Alex Wasabi. Harley would join, and he would fight an actual heavyweight, John.
Beppis gave a new idea and then had to retract it. We're all... I'm stealing every single one of your ideas. You're not getting 5%. I never signed a contract. They're all my ideas. Look back. I talk about them on this stream. That means all of them are my 100% original ideas. There is no chat. I'm not reading anything. I am merely speaking to myself. I have multiple personalities.
John Morrison, and Dad would fight AB from the H3 podcast. So one of the fights was set to be...
Why are all these photos of AB so, like, they did him so dirty?
And Dad would fight...
Come on, I know in a moment of taking photos, this isn't the only photo you took. You had to have taken, like, a few shots. He just looks like he didn't relax his shoulders.
AB from the H3 podcast. So one of the fights was set to be against Tyler Cassidy, also known as Froggy Fresh, of the Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, I was about to say also known as Krispy Kreme.
Kreme fame. He made a bunch of songs on the internet. Guy's an old school.
I am the baddest of them all. You ain't talking money, then I don't mess with y'all. I forget the rest. Why is James crying? 'Cause he just got dunked on. I ain't even lying. No, he just got dunked on. Yeah, he was standing in the way. So I jumped up in the air and I dunked it on his face. That's what dunked on is. See, I'm actually I'm an internet connoisseur. I knew about Filthy Frank before any of my friends freshman year of high school. I know of all of the
OG YouTube legend. Now, Froggy was supposed to be fighting Chris Raygun, and I want you to remember this fight because the controversy surrounding it might have been some of the most promotion this fight was getting for a while, and all of it was effectively for the wrong reasons. Now, something about fighting promotion and the community that watches these events is that it always centers around some form of drama or conflict, okay? A lot of the biggest bouts on YouTube, at least in this space, have basically resulted from beefs, a lot of them long-withstanding, between creators to the point where having them bash each other's brains in for money, which, you know, money at that point just takes a back seat. People love the thrill of just settling this online bullshit in a ring, and the audience is excited for it. I'm sure the creators are excited for it, and if you get paid while you get to beat the shit out of the guy you absolutely have been beefing with for a while, all of it is a win-win. Unfortunately, Creator Clash doesn't really have that ethos. It's first and foremost meant to be about treating boxing, the sport, with respect, and its safeguarding comes first.
The last thing I want to talk about is how serious the sport of boxing is. We've seen a lot of these influencer boxing events just pop up and, to be honest, not take the sport very seriously.
Watching this after Wednesday's episode makes it a bit funnier, knowing now that he really put very little into the actual training for the boxing. Like, and because, okay, you can care about boxing and just be like a promoter or just be like an event organizer, whatever, a manager. But I don't know, he seems to want it both ways.
Serious.
He wants to not be a part of it, but also get all the credit for loving the sport and respecting it as an art form. You don't understand boxing. Boxing is an art. The art of two gladiators going head to head.
In this last event, we saw guys headbutting each other. We want to avoid this shit at all costs. We're trying to get professional boxing coaches for all of our fighters. We're trying to give them ample time to...
And again, now we know that it wasn't even necessarily through him. How did they say that it happened? I forget what they said, but it wasn't even through Ian like trying to get them. They were just able to through one of the other coaches or something. That's how they, because that's, oh my God, Michael was explaining this, so that's how they got Harley's coach and how they got like a few other coaches or something. But I'm blanking on it.
Prepare. We're trying to prepare them mentally and physically for, you know, what they're going to do, because people die in boxing. It's not a goofy thing. Oh, let's try out boxing. It's a serious thing.
Wow, Ian, that's actually such a good point. You know, I would actually believe that you weren't just talking shit out of your ass if it wasn't for the fact that you put Chris Raygun up against William Haynes, who clearly had a height and weight superiority against him. You know, if you really care about the sport of boxing, you probably wouldn't have haphazardly put this matchup last minute after kicking Froggy Fresh out and put Chris in a pretty shitty situation. So the big problem with...
Loki, he was throwing though. He was kind of getting him.
Fresh out and put Chris in a pretty shitty situation. So
what we like to call this is controlling the void. He's controlling the space between them because he is the shorter fighter. He knows he has the reach disadvantage, so he needs to make sure he's keeping this range.
After kicking Froggy Fresh out and put Chris in a pretty shitty situation. So the big problem with promotion came from the fact that Creator Clash's individual creators actually didn't do a whole lot of promotion.
We also had to pay for more fighters this year. The first year it was 18, this year it was 24. I thought bringing in more fighters would just lead to more pay-per-view buys, but I think it just ended up costing us more.
Yeah, Ian thought that just because he put in more fighters on the card that he tweeted...
Back to gameplay.
...tweeted out, that somehow that would correlate to...
I'm sorry, I got distracted. I need to run it back. There was no reason to add this gameplay in. You could have added an image or something. Just add stock photos or stock footage. It's funnier. It makes it more entertaining than watching gameplay.
But I think it just ended up costing us more.
Yeah, Ian thought that just because he put in more fighters on the card that he tweeted out, that somehow that would correlate to more pay-per-view buys, which, again, it shows you that maybe he's just never gotten past the age of, I don't know, 12. But events always do get pirated, and also, you know, if you look into some of the promotional material, like if the actual individual fighters are...
Now I'm more upset that he showed the actual thing that we should have been looking at for 3 seconds. He showed this for like half a second. Just scroll this slower.
Which, again, it shows you that maybe he's just
like, scroll that list slower.
Never gotten past the age of, I don't know, 12. But events always do get pirated. And also, you know, if you look into some of the promotional material, like if the actual individual fighters are promoting it. Now, I don't know if videos were removed or maybe like they posted on alternate networks, but even looking at the main platforms for some of these creators, you know, people like Ethan Nestor definitely had this in the, at least in the description box for their links. And even in that case, like, he actually did make videos. The mainline event, Ian versus Alex Wasabi, from what I can find, there's literally one video leading up with like 40,000 viewers, and then the actual video, which would be around fight night or post-release. So I don't want to jump and blame the fighters for not promoting this event enough. Again, if you know anything behind the scenes, there's got to be plans for promotion, like there's got to be timelines that are met, there's got to be deliverables, and if the event itself isn't putting in the effort, how can you expect the fighters or the participants to be doing anything more? They're already busy training for this fight and this event. If you're going to make them promote the event, at least plan the stuff out properly. Otherwise, then you can't complain when nobody checks out the event because you're not promoting it properly. People from outside the sphere who care about boxing are probably not going to jump into the event because it's not being adequately promoted, even outside these people's fan bases. All of this was stated actually in Idubbbz' own video regarding the failure of Creator Clash 2, when he himself admitted that after all the accounting, the whole event failed to actually raise a single penny for charity.
For Creator Clash 2, you know, despite it being a fun event and despite good fights and a lot of creators sacrificing a lot of time, money, and energy, we lost $250,000 on the event. The way that this typically works for anyone who's unaware is that once our expenses are paid off for the event, like all the minimums of, like, you know, broadcasting, the hotel, travel, all that sort of stuff, once that's all paid off, then we can start paying the charities.
So obviously adding extra fighters to the card wasn't raising up viewer numbers, but another big problem that Ian mentioned here was obviously they'd never anticipated piracy, and that apparently cost them a lot of money.
But we didn't have any anti-piracy measures we weren't prepared to deal with.
I mean, honestly, the fact that he cuts back to the gameplay, maybe I shouldn't stop. Maybe it should just be playing the entire time. This is more entertaining than the gameplay he's showing.
What ended up happening, I mean, for me, I was just thinking, like, let's just avoid catastrophe. As long as there's, like, not, like, I don't know, like a bomb threat or, like, injuries or anything crazy, like, we should be fine. This should just be, like, the first year. I don't want it to be more complicated than the first year. It ended up being a lot more complicated. Amongst the 800 pirated streaming sites, there were between 1.3 and 3 million viewers. So even though there were around 50,000 pay-per-view buys, there were around 1.3 to 3 million viewers, people who actually watched the full broadcast.
Now, piracy obviously wasn't the only thing. There was the increased fighters, which led to higher operational costs, and of course that Froggy...
If he could edit this like this here, why isn't he doing it for the rest of the video? Why not just do this for the rest? Why add in all the little clips of you playing the game? I'm getting too sidetracked on him playing the game.
Fresh controversy I talked about earlier absolutely didn't do anything to smooth things over with at all. So yeah, Creator Clash 2 definitely had a lot of negatives going towards it, but I wouldn't say that all these things happened externally. A lot of it could have been avoided generally if you had better planning at the top. Now look, advertising was one problem, right? A big problem for Creator Clash 2, but for the first time it felt that the event got a controversy, and it was in the shape of Froggy Fresh. Now, Froggy Fresh was that fighter in CC2 that was supposed to go up against Chris Raygun. And that was until Froggy made this dastardly joke regarding signing to Anissa's OnlyFans if he actually had lost, and that ended up being the catalyst for him being removed from the event.
There seems to be substantial evidence that Chris Raygun is now on Adderall. Well, young man, amphetamines couldn't save Hitler, and they can't save you either. On April 15th, if I don't hurt you beyond what anybody could have imagined, I will be so disappointed in myself that I will subscribe to Anissa's OnlyFans.
So, out of nowhere, Froggy Fresh ends up being removed for his recent behavior. Now, in a lot of these deleted...
I mean, is it probably an inappropriate joke to make? I mean, I guess, yeah, it is. I won't say that it's not, but is it a reason to kick him off the fight? Depends. I mean, depends on where it went. I forget what the whole... Did he, like... What was... Was it just an immediate you're kicked off? Or did they try and talk about it at all?
It tweets, and there's archives and screenshots that exist, but I wanted to tell you that they were deleted because I don't have them right here to review fresh on Twitter, which, you know, again, I just want you to know these are archives. But there has been a change in the lineup, and Froggy Fresh will no longer be fighting against Chris Reagan. We'll announce his replacement in the coming days. With just 3 weeks left, the countdown to Creator Clash 2 has begun. So, yeah, they were going to issue a change in the fighter lineup that close to the actual fight night. Creator Clash's goal is to make an inclusive and fun environment for creators and fans while giving back to charity. Oh, this is going to burn. That has always been our mission, and Froggy Fresh's recent behavior does not align with that mission. We look forward to sharing this positive experience on April 15th.
Well, I will say that it's probably... what Froggy Fresh was doing is like the antithesis of what Ian wanted the Creator Clash to be. Because like he was saying in one of the other videos, he didn't want it to be like how these a lot of other creator events are, where it's fake hype and fake drama. He didn't want to like completely like... He didn't want to fake anything. He wanted it to be everyone's going in with the right mindset. They're going in there to have fun or whatever. Even though I said this before, that's not necessarily what brings people to boxing. People like knowing that there is like not even that they're going to go in there to try and knock each other's heads off. Just knowing that there's a little bit of something at stake. They both are going in there for their like own pride. And they could lose that if they lose the fight. That makes it a little bit more interesting. And Froggy Fresh seems like he was trying to bring that. And so I can understand why Ian is like, oh, he's not following what we wanted, our angle for this event. But do I think that means it was a good reason to kick him off? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? Do I think Anissa probably just got upset? Yes. We're back. Wait.
Now, there's a case you could say that, hey, man, maybe you shouldn't be making OnlyFans jokes about, you know, somebody's, you know, the event organizer, so to speak, as somebody fighting in the event. You've been given this big opportunity. Why would you say something that would probably piss off the event owners? And the thing about it is, I do absolutely agree with you. Obviously, if you've been given this opportunity, it's probably best to be quiet. But the reason why the overreaction, I would say, personally to me seemed weird is that, you know, Idubbbz is a guy that made the whole video about he's okay with sex work and OnlyFans and everything, right? Like, he's totally fine with this kind of stuff. He's fine with people making jokes about this behavior.
For those of you who are unaware of the drama I recently brought upon myself, I'll fill you in. My girlfriend started an OnlyFans account, which is a website where you can upload amateur porn. Anything from double penetration...
Can't you upload amateur porn to like any porn website?
All the way over to lewd cosplay and everything in...
all the way to DJ Khaled and Fat Joe. Thank you very much. They aren't doing anything lewd. It's just a fan page. I don't think it's still up, but...
between. And I think all of it is cool. Yeah.
But
you don't think that, what's his name was doing it was cool? Donut Operator? Was that it when he was like, I'm showing my meats, and he was cooking steak or whatever, and they were like, you're making fun of Anissa. Even though Anissa had at one point joked about making OnlyFans for the fighters and making it just behind the scenes content for their fighting stuff. But I guess it's disrespectful to amateur porn stars. You don't want to disrespect the craft.
the thing about it is he obviously isn't, okay? Froggy Fresh is getting kicked off an event because of this joke, and I guess a whole litany of other issues.
You want to know the part that's really bugging me about this gameplay? What the fuck is he even doing? Like, if you know that it's just going to be gameplay for a video, I'd just be riding around doing jumps and shit. I would just be doing nothing. It would be for fun, just to be like, watch me fly off the bike I'm on.
That came out as well too, according to Idubbbz, where he was, I believe training with Sam, and he kind of made Sam to be more of a visible figure beyond just the training, which I believe Idubbbz wasn't comfortable with, and there's good reason for that.
The main reason Froggy was kicked from the card was for collaborating with Sam Hyde.
Oh, and that's the angle he tried to... Okay, then I completely forgot that that's what it was. Because I was thinking, didn't he say it was because of Sam Hyde? But because people were... Like, because Muda-Ta-Har started showing the Anissa stuff, I was like, okay, that makes more sense as to why you would want to kick him off. But now it tells me that Anissa told... Like, again, it's complete speculation, but this sounds like Anissa told him, this guy needs to get kicked off, but I don't want it to look like it was because of me. So make it, like, why is he's doing stuff with Sam Hyde, he's making fun of me, he's doing stuff with Sam Hyde, and he's making fun of me. So, let's kick him. Again, complete speculation, I have no knowledge.
And, for anyone who's been following the story, that's, fairly obvious. Froggy has explained, his side of the story multiple times. And unfortunately, he's been perpetuating a narrative that it's about OnlyFans or that it's about Anissa's mom. And
Harley trained with Sam Hyde too, which makes it... And you did a video with Sam Hyde. Was he doing, like... Because if he gave us context of, like, Froggy Fresh was doing a video with Sam Hyde where they were punching the bag and it had pictures of Ian all over it, and then Sam comes in and starts elbowing it and then stabs the bag or something, then I'd be like, yeah, this doesn't seem okay. Maybe not. But if it really is just because of them training together, come on. If he wanted to kill you, he had a great opportunity to do it when you were right in front of him. I don't think Sam Hyde cares all that much. I think if he wants you dead, he would want it in some, like, systemic way where it's going to happen from the government and trickle down. That's the kind of person Sam Hyde is.
That's extremely deceptive.
Now, I'm not here to claim or do a gotcha that this reasoning isn't solid. Obviously, it's his event, and their internal communications most likely reflect, the guy being kicked, probably because of Sam Hyde. But the OnlyFans stuff is super weird because it really just felt like, at the time, it was the catalyst that moved the needle to that point of no return. But even when you look at how he reacts to other creators, like here's a clip of Donut Operator bringing up the whole OnlyFans stuff and how it prevented Ian from, like, even talking to him, or, like, Ian just stopped wanting to be friends with the guy over this.
So like he went to a range day with me one time. Like we used to talk a lot about content creation and stuff. And COVID rolls around, I get bored at home, so I make an OnlyFans where I'm showing my meat.
Really?
And, well, basically, I'm taking a steak and I'm rating a steak. and like,
see, that's the reaction that you're supposed to have. Genius.
I thought it was funny. So
You're disrespecting the art form of pornography. Have you never seen a fetish film before? You are mocking God's greatest creatures.
I'm wearing like just an apron. Of course, I'm wearing like boxers underneath. And I'd reach down and be like, this is my OnlyFans. And this is an A5 Wagyu from down the street. And I would talk about it. And I sent it to Ian, and he got mad and called me and like said I was making fun of Anissa, and like I wasn't.
Oh,
I just thought it was a funny bit because I was sitting at home during COVID. And
you'll never.
If you don't know the Sam Hyde situation, basically Sam Hyde poo-poo pee-peed Ian's video, made it bad because he just pranked him the entire time when Ian was trying to do a legitimate documentary, and then it all fell apart, and now he acts like Sam Hyde wants to kill him for some reason.
Understand what it's like to be an ally.
Yeah, it was. He like said stuff like that, and just like haven't talked to him since. That was like 5 years ago.
Over that?
Yeah, and I've like texted him and tried to reconnect with him. He just won't talk to me anymore.
Now, even according to Ian, apparently the context that was
poll if we think the pod's gonna happen. Yeah, I can throw that up here. Let me check the Instagram too.
removed from this was the fact that, you know, Donut, I guess, had a girlfriend that wanted to be an OF person at some point, and it was just like, bro, if people are gonna rip on him for that, he took it away just by making this joke about himself. It completely snuffed it out. You see why nobody's making the donut operator jokes? Because A, he doesn't really feed into giving people the reaction, at least the trolls, the reaction that they crave. Which, again, the thing about Ian over here is, like, it's kind of hard to understand or, like, figure out why Froggy was even removed when you start to see the sensitivity around this OnlyFans situation. And again, this...
Okay, Ethan was posting on his story not long ago. So I'm assuming that means they're going live today, or he would have said something. So Yeet said, why the fuck are there gnats everywhere? Oh no. It's become a pigsty. I'm just kidding. I was literally cleaning yesterday. I Lysoled the floor. Bullshit. Okay, but Yeet said, it's time to start referring to Hassan Piker as a genocide profiteer. Donate 10% or more of your yearly earnings, and this argument will forever fall flat. Until then, it just becomes more and more obvious what's really going on. I mean... 10%, he takes that 10%.
Ultimate fail, complete and utter annihilation. On the night of the election, I was the only left-wing media figure in a sea of right-wing commentary after I had to...
Not that it matters, but...
Yeah, failure.
So I'm wondering what this, but Ethan said, Dear at Joshua Citarelli, it's time to put you and other journalists endlessly sweeping for Hassan on notice. If you don't even ask him about his affinity for terror groups, his downplaying of sexual violence, his demand to give the Houthis a Nobel Peace Prize, his proclamation that anyone who has ever had positive feelings about the state of Israel is not fit to be a dog catcher. See, you don't even need to... He said that they're neo-Nazis. Just say that part. Say that anybody... I mean, he's fucking said that. He said that anybody who's ever had a positive feeling about Israel is a neo-Nazi. That was like the beginning of this statement about dog catchers. But you cease being a journalist and become a spokesperson for his transnational terrorist advocacy group. There is no more plausible deniability. You are supporting terror.
Not that it matters, but the only reason why we chose my name over his last name is because his last name is like just objectively ugly. It's just like an ugly last name. Like Washburn sounds horrendous. Like Anissa Washburn definitely stormed the Capitol. That's how that went. But like I feel like, I don't know. That's like, to me, Anissa Washburn sounds bad.
Nah, see, I don't think the name Washburn sounds bad, but if your girl or your guy is really telling you, I don't like your name, it's ugly. It's like, it feels like it's saying more about you than it's saying about the name, to be completely honest. But Ethan just posted those, so I'm hoping he's gonna start. I feel like he would put something up saying that they aren't. Oh. Quasar, have you tried the product Diznats to get rid of them? What's Diznats? Never heard of that before. If you could tell me what store I could maybe buy them from. Yeah, Ethan's Insta posting. He better get in the car. He better be in a fucking Waymo in the back seat Insta posting right now.
Video is not dedicated to relitigating this OnlyFans nonsense. Honestly, I think if anything, like, you know, you either are secure with it or you're not, okay? But you can't have this wishy-washy halfway, you know, I can handle a joke, but also I'm gonna cut a friendship off because the guy sent a joke about OnlyFans as a joke to a friend, and you immediately took that upon, you know, an insult to your wife. I mean, that is, I don't know how to really process that in the most positive way for a guy like Ian. But generally speaking, it's just tough to look at the situation and not feel that at least, that the OnlyFans stuff kind of played a big part in at least the expulsion of Froggy Fresh, or at least it was treated as like an incredible insult, and that's where, at least in my opinion, an overreaction was kicked in. But again, this is all just kind of feels-based arguments, and that's not where I want to be in this video. So let's whittle on back to just Creator Clash 2 and its mistake, because honestly, this OF stuff is small potatoes compared to the fact that this charity event didn't even raise a dime for charities, may I remind you. Now, when Froggy was kicked off, short to say it did spark controversy, they replaced him with a William.
So the clips where there's video games were definitely recorded later. That just makes it even more... I'm so confused as to how he put this video together. Because I can tell that it's scripted. Like, he has certain parts that he's scripting out, but then he's adding all these other bits in later. Interesting.
Haynes, who, let's be honest, was a severe mismatch for Chris Raygun. Not to throw shade or anything, it's just one of these decisions you have to look for, because if you really care about the spirit of boxing, you would do a lot better of a job at matching up people properly so that it just doesn't look like such a mismanaged event down the road. So one thing I found interesting this time for Creator Clash was two pieces of information that just caught my attention. So during this controversy, according to Froggy Fresh and some of the fighters who allegedly came out and stated that there was actually a purse. So money that would be set aside that you would get for the purposes of paying for your food and your training. And that there was supposedly, according to Froggy Fresh, a portion of ticket sales that would actually end up going to the fighters. Which, again, this was a charity event.
Elena Pierce is misinforming the public, saying that I'm taking money off the table for charity, okay? The money I used to train was an advance.
He's really trying to show off his bicep right now. He's doing the little arm tuck thing where you like push your bicep out to try and make it look bigger.
Advance on my purse, okay? Elena Pierce is misinforming the public.
Again, this was a charity event.
Just immediate.
Elena Pierce is misinforming the public, saying that I'm taking money off the table for charity. Okay.
And then he turns. Watch, he turns his arm to try and show off his bicep a little bit more.
The money I used to train.
He flexed. I'm sorry. I'll listen to what he's actually saying. That was just so funny to me.
Again, this was a charity event.
Elena Pierce is misinforming the public, saying that I'm taking money off the table for charity. Okay. The money I used to train was an advance on my purse. It had nothing to do with the charity organizations. All the fighters are receiving a purse to fight. That money was an advance on that purse. It was coming out of my purse. That's it. So I would have a smaller purse on fight night. That's it. Now what I'm willing to do to show you how dedicated I am to charity, I'm willing to donate the rest of my purse to charity, as well as my portion of profits from ticket sales and pay-per-view sales that all the fighters are splitting. I'll donate both of those to charity.
Why would this even need to be a thing? This seemed incredibly unethical to me at the time. And the thing about it is, there were other fighters that were giving conflicting information. So the purse, according to Elena Pierce, one of the other fighters, she said that she didn't even get a purse. She had no idea that it was actually even a thing.
But that document is not litigation, and it's not them trying to sue him. Essentially, Tyler, Froggy Fresh, was given $15,000 for training purposes. And for the record, I was not given that money. I don't know if anyone else was. I think...
Wait, was he given his purse up front? Like he was fronted it? While the rest of them got it after? I'm confused. Because AB and Lena racked up a bill. They didn't get like an amount to cover. Or maybe they got... I don't know.
It was effectively like a financial aid for him specifically, because I guess he requested it. I'm not entirely sure how that went down. Because he...
Yeah, he's just a good old Southern boy. Our man Froggy Fresh. I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't talking money, then I don't mess with y'all.
He needed the help paying for training. I don't know how much money he spent. I don't think that I've spent $15,000 paying for my training or my meals. It certainly costs thousands of dollars, but I don't think I would have spent anywhere near $15,000. And what they did was send him a letter saying, hey, can we have the $15,000 back? The reason they did that was because now that he's no longer fighting because of breach of contract, he had to be replaced. That money that was given to him is just taken out of charity at this point.
Now, again, you've got one fighter who's claiming that this is, I guess, financial aid if you ask for it. I don't know if she's misremembering anything, but you got Froggy talking about, hey, this is a purse and this is ticket sales. Now, coincidentally, at the same time, Harley Morenstein actually jumped into the live stream of, I believe it was like Nicholas Diorio, and actually wrote, I don't know about Fight of the Night. Every fighter got an extra 30,000 or so on top of the 20,000. So not just for the Fight of the Night, for everyone. Was a surprise for CC1. So nobody at CC1 was expecting for them to get a payment on fight night, which was, you know, a pleasant surprise, obviously.
Why wouldn't that money have just gone to charity? Like, why wouldn't they have just put that extra money if they were all of a sudden, or fucking, oh my God, or put that money at, like, for the next event, like toward the next event. Put it in a fund that you'd build up for the next event. I'm like, actually, like, bro, what? To give everybody, I feel like I did hear about this before, and I'm just thinking about it now with all of the extra context surrounding it. It's just like, what? Why? Every fighter got an extra 30K. There were 20 fighters. That means there was an extra, like, $600,000? Right? Right? Is my math completely wrong?
But for Creator Clash 2, people expected that bonus. Okay, so again, you've got one more fighter here who's been here basically since the beginning, stating that no, there was actually payment on the line for a lot of these fighters. And again, it's not just Elena, it's also Ian himself saying that fighters got money.
This year was 24. I thought bringing in more fighters would just lead to more pay-per-view buys, but I think it just ended.
Those are just such dumb. You're like an idiot, bro. I'm sorry. Like, I know I said in the last stream that we shouldn't be talking diminishingly about people, but like, you're not dumb, but that is a very dumb thought process to have. If we just bring on bigger names, more people will come. In theory, yes. But it's all about the promotion that you do from there. People don't just come because there's a name. There needs to be a reason for them to be interested in that name coming. Because, like, even if people are interested in a YouTuber, they don't go to every event that YouTuber is at. You know, people that go to VidCon aren't going just because of one creator. They're going because it's VidCon. Yeah, it's...
Ended up costing us more. You know, because each fighter gets a $20,000 stipend. And for anyone like confused about this or thought everyone was fighting for free, they pretty much are fighting for free.
No, buddy, that's not fighting for free. That's actually receiving some financial compensation. Now, I will grant you, you know, the charitability and say, yeah, it's probably reimbursement for the money they're spending in fighting on your event. And, you know, for a lot of larger creators that probably didn't want to fight in the event because it might have been a financial disservice to them, yeah, you know, as a content creator, you know, you could either give up your time and train for somebody else's event and miss out on hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of dollars.
He's pretending to be stupid, in my opinion. Like, how can this be my fault if I didn't know? You're so right. It's just plausible deniability. I kind of like that idea more. That he just wants to play the idiot. I mean, maybe. Realistically, nobody could make this many dumb statements in a row without, like, either being called on it, realizing their mistake, or maybe they are just lying. He knows that what he's saying is faulty.
Just by not participating in your own.
Is this not the same fucking clip he showed before? If you're gonna show boring ass game footage, at least, or is this just like a station where you go to fast travel or some shit? Because legitimately, this looks the exact same as a clip he showed a second ago.
Line of work, And sure, yeah, the stipend over there barely covers the cost of what you've actually lost. I guess if you do look at it from that perspective. But the thing is, this is a event billed as a charity. You know, fighters get hit, charities get paid, all right, at least 50% of the time based on this event's track record. So the thing about this is, if you're going to have a purse, if you're going to have portions of the ticket sales allegedly being passed around, then you should be very upfront and honest about it. And I'm not even just going to go after Ian for this. I'm actually going to go after every single one of the fighters on this event as well a little bit, because if you have information that you know for a fact could easily be it would dissuade the public from even considering, maybe I do want to give money to this event, right? Because as a person, when you're giving money to an event like this, you probably want most of your ticket sales to go to charity. You don't want it to be used.
That was the best. Shut up, Alex. I know I'm criticizing the video production too much. This was the best clip that he's used so far because I liked watching the guy roll. Nah, for real. Beppis is gonna be the next Russ. The bank account will be dry and give it a couple months. Gonna use it up. We're gonna hit 69 and then hit another 69 and another 69 and another 69. You're the one who said it, Beppis. You gotta stand by your word, unless you're like Ian, unless you're a liar. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, all of you that are in here. I appreciate all of you. Please don't take my joking as actual hatred. I only hate you all a little bit. As much as I hate everybody else. You get it. You get what I'm saying.
To an event.
Yeah, but look at this. But look at this sick clip. Look at this sick clip right here.
Like this, you probably want most of your ticket sales to go to charity. You don't want it to be
low-key. The physics in this game also suck.
Used to further enrich, you know, people in some cases who are already multimillionaires, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, if you ever hold on to information that you know could probably dissuade the average public from buying into an event or something.
You're right. I'll throw up the since they haven't put up the podcast, I'll throw up if we're gonna have a podcast at all poll.
I think
You're
it's
right.
a.
I was waiting to see.
I think it's an ethical responsibility to at least disclose that. But again, you know, obviously, like I'm just giving the fighters a little bit of the shit. I'm sure there were a lot of contractual NDAs and things that probably prevented these guys from even talking about this legally, lest they may face some wrath from this organization, right? Because in reality, it's just weird when I read this kind of conflicting information. So realistically, it's up to you as a viewer to kind of figure out what is true and what isn't, right? Like ultimately, if you've got all this conflicting information, the only one that can quell it is Ian, right? And Anissa. If they can open up the books for this event and let people look into how this charity was operated, like what percentage of the money was actually given to the fighters, what percentage of the money was spent on parties, what percentage of money was spent on general like stuff. If you're running a charity event, you should probably be pretty open and transparent, because ultimately these events are all built around trust. If they're not willing to provide that, then I think that's a pretty good reason for every single person to stay far away from this event, and that's just my opinion, of course. But if there's somebody being a facetious individual, okay, it deserves to be talked about. If fighters are earning profit sharing off of these events, we need to have a serious discussion. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you should not be profiting off of an event that's billing itself as a charitable event.
Did I just really spell fucking canceled wrong? Is it one L? Right? It's one L, right? Can you do two L's? Oh, they're both acceptable. Never mind. I don't think I've ever spelled it with two L's before.
Venture. I mean, it's incredibly unethical. There's a great actual test for ethics here. It's if you're hiding information from the general public, which it seems like this information was hidden, if that information could potentially have people not pay for your event, then you should absolutely disclose that information. If telling the audience that there was profit sharing going on with the event ticket sales or pay-per-view sales to the fighters, instead of all of it effectively being gone to charity as much as it can, all right, that should have been disclosed. Because I'm telling you right now, if it was properly disclosed at the time, I wouldn't put my money towards the pay-per-view, and I'm sure plenty of people wouldn't put their money towards the pay-per-view or even go to the event, because again, if you're billing something as charity, it should be charity first and not enriching people, you know, initially. That, in my opinion, is the strong point that I want to make for this. Now, look, Creator Clash 2 actually did end up happening, and controversy aside, the event was a complete failure, right? Now, don't get me wrong, the fights were great. The party seemed to be even better, okay? According to the people that went...
This was a complete mismatch. Alex Wasabi, it's Alex Wasabi, right? But he was...
strong point that I want to make for this. Now, look...
Like, his form is really good compared to Idubbbz.
Creator Clash 2 actually did end up happening, and controversy aside...
Like, it's not the best, but the head movement, like, he's definitely, like, anticipating while he's throwing.
The event was a...
Where it feels like Ian was throwing much more... See, I never actually watched the fights. I just know that he lost. But you can tell he's doing a much more choreographed, like, 1-2, you know, hitting a couple jabs, whatever.
Complete failure, right? Now, don't get me wrong, the fights were great. The party seemed to be even better, okay? According to the people that went and the clips that came out that weekend, it seemed that beyond renting out a bigger venue, which didn't get filled like the last one, plenty of influencers were flown out, an entire hotel was rented to the fighters and influencers.
How would I rate my ad experience? Awful.
And this would be confirmed very recently by Froggy when, apparently, according to him, he couldn't even get a hotel room for his family because I guess most of it was saved up for influencers who had to be separated for what appeared to be security reasons. And I believe this was due to a possible stalker at the event.
Oh, Froggy Fresh is here.
Likewise, like we were
Froggy Fresh, the whole gang is here.
He said Creator Clash 2 management wouldn't let me buy my family a room at the hotel in CC2, said there were no more rooms available. Because I guess that's the rooms they were using for everybody they brought out.
And amongst all of this were lavish galas, parties, where you had comedians apparently being paid around $20,000.
Action 2. Now we all have monkeypox. Good, get the here. Let me earn my $20,000. All right, back to my prepared remarks.
Now this is where I want to do a
monkeypox. Good, get
These look like... This looks like a Photoshop. How are these the same species of human? My God.
Here, let me...
He literally looks like a shrunken down version of him.
Earn my $20,000. All right, back to my prepared remarks.
Now this is where I want to do a hard stop. First off, what we're about to discuss is pretty speculatory financially. Just because we don't have access to any of the accounting sheets, and I doubt we'll ever be able to see these accounting sheets provided by the Creator Clash team, and honestly, even if Ian sent me the spreadsheets, I don't even know if I would believe if they weren't even altered at this point, just because at this point, there is so much miasma that I really don't think I could sit down and probably like...
Oh, miasma. I learned about this from the H3 podcast. It's like a dirty cloud, as I think Dan put it.
I don't think I can believe anything at face value. I would be stupid to believe anything at face value. But just generally understanding, there was a lot of money that seemed to have been spent. Even when it came to that comedian clip I just showed you, you know, until I see a pay stub, maybe that might have been a joke. I don't know. I'm leaving myself some breathing room here. But the thing is, everything looked pretty expensive. And I think if there's any metric to go off of is if there isn't any money raised for charity, and, you know, there's money being given to fighters, obviously as stipends and a potential profit sharing of the ticket revenue, as it was evidenced by Froggy Fresh. The hotel couldn't have been cheap to rent out. And of course, you know, I'm not going to assume that even the influencers were flown out. That's not even confirmed anywhere. But there were a lot of influencers that did show up. They didn't really do a whole lot of promoting for the event, at least from what I could cursorily glance. But the thing about it is that obviously it looked very expensive. And I think if you had to gauge how expensive it was probably the fact that Ian was $250K in the red, you know, after all of the quote-unquote expenses. So realistically, I do wish that Creator Clash provided these expense sheets so we could better understand why the event failed, right? Was it, you know, how much money you spent on the arena? Was it how much money you spent on fighters? Was it how much money you spent on these parties that came after and before it seemed with the event? These are all things that I feel if people got a better grasp of, you know, maybe this would be far more scandalous. Maybe it would reinvigorate the scandal, if anything. But yeah, I feel like because this has been billed as a charity event and transparency is so important when it comes to charity, I really do wish Ian and Issa, or really the current Creator Clash team, just really nip this in the butt and maybe give us an idea of how things were really spent. Because it just seems like a complete mess. But at the time, it made me wonder why Creator Clash wasn't even incorporated as a...
H3 last week is there right now. Let's take a little look at his video he just posted on his story. Great stuff. Yeah, it does look like the line is starting to grow. He better be out there promoting himself. Always be closing, you know what I mean?
A real nonprofit in the United States, because at least then we could go into the IRS lookup, we could dig out their 990s, and we could actually confirm how much money they earned, how much money they disbursed, and also what their expenses look like. But since they're not open and transparent, we, the viewer, don't really know what's going on with the charitable aspect of this organization. Now, again, this reminds me a little bit of the completionist investigation that...
It looks kind of shady. It's LA. I mean, go like 2 blocks over and you'll find like a nice, you know, you'll find like a boba place somewhere that serves quinoa.
I did about 2 years ago at this point. Now, when we looked into that, I did that investigation with Carl Jobst. We looked into the Open Hand Foundation, and we looked through all of their IRS documentation, or as much as what was publicly available. For any charity, you can dig up their, number, you can dig up their tax number, you can go onto the IRS, you can dig out the information, you can see how much people are earning, how much people are disbursing. It's a pretty good way to get the transparency of charities out there. Unfortunately, because of the way Creator Clash was set, we don't have access to the transparency. So you basically have to just trust Ian, you have to trust Anissa, you have to trust the event organizers to basically tell you the truth. And it seems the further we dig...
And I don't know what he's about to say, but it seems like they don't like telling the whole truth. They like telling us the story that favors their, perspective. Because, yeah, I mean, if all we're doing is we have to just take them at their word, we could probably give quite a few examples of times that they weren't, completely honest. Like not being super good friends with Froggy Tonic and then flying him out from Europe, I forget where, but flying him out from Europe.
Dig into this, especially with Creator Clash 3, which recently just imploded, it seems like the truth is ever so fleeting. Now, in the end, Ian did do a charity live stream on his channel where he actually made up the money, and I believe then some, and donated it to charities. But again, this is totally independent from the event. It could have been done at any time, and it doesn't take away from the abhorrent failure that is Creator Clash 2. If anything, Creator Clash 2 showed that, first and foremost, this was a vanity event with a charity shield attached to it. Because again, you'd have to be a real asshole to criticize a charitable event, right? But I will be that asshole. It's my job as internal affairs to be the asshole in this situation. This was an event...
The live finally went up, let's see. Whew. Whew. Good thing I started a little late today. They say 12:30. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Have they been saying anything? No messages from the crew yet. What's going on? What's happening? But yes, it is happening. So I'm gonna end this poll now.
Where clearly Ian and Anissa wanted to get in good graces with all the influencers involved. They wanted to create a yearly event where influencers come together, and all...
Audio's cutting in and out? Oh, it does say that there was a buffering error. Here, I'll run it back a few seconds. Let me know if it continues. Because it wasn't a problem with my internet. It was a problem with YouTube's, like, the connection between OBS and YouTube for some reason. But yeah, so let me know if it continues, and I might try and change something if it keeps happening. I think it's going all right now.
Failure that is Creator Clash 2. If anything, Creator Clash 2 showed that, first and foremost, this was a vanity event with a charity shield attached to it. Because again, you'd have to be a real asshole to criticize a charitable event, right? But I will be that asshole. It's my job as Internal Affairs to be the asshole in this situation. This was an event where clearly Ian and Anissa wanted to get in good graces with all the influencers involved. They wanted to create a yearly event where influencers come together, and all of the criticism towards their failure would be washed away when people saw a fat check being given to charities. But see, at this point, when you're not even giving to the charities, it's totally okay for all of us to directly shit down the throats of the people mismanaging this event. Again, if they didn't decide to do these crazy extravagant parties, if they didn't decide to mismanage the event this bad, those charities would have received the money that was ultimately raised by...
Now, I'm not going to say we'll hit 69 viewers, but I feel like we might, because the show's starting late today. And whenever they start late, I do get an influx of viewers because people are waiting. And what a better place to wait than right here. What could be better than this? Look, we're watching a video, we're chatting, we're having a good time.
By people who thought that their money was going to charities and not to the pockets of fighters and possibly the organizers and comedians and people who were basically organizing extravagant parties, all with money just raised from the actual fans who thought it was supposed to be going to charity. Now, you would think that with Creator Clash 2 being such a monumental fuck-up, CC3 probably wouldn't have happened. But to understand the context of CC3's failure, we have to go all the way back to 1940, when a country known as Israel was actually formed. Oh, you mean they tied that into the event? What the f? Headquarters is telling me that this massive political issue that we're talking about has suddenly bled into this event. So if we look at Creator Clash 3, it was announced early February of this year and was originally set for June 28, 2025 in Tampa, Florida at the Amalie Arena. And I guess at this point, they might be getting a good rate or something. I have no idea. If you couldn't fill the last venue out, how the f would you expect to fill this out this time? Again, to look at Creator Clash as an entity, they were already not putting in any advertising. So I don't know what they were expecting with filling this place out. People looked at the heat map.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that there was no promotion. There was no substantive promotion where it was actually like, what do you call it? There was no promotion campaign. They did not like run a campaign for Creator Clash. What they did was just a few independent posts being like, hey guys, I'm fighting, come watch me. Hey guys, go buy tickets. Like, you guys needed to do like an actual like campaign to show all the different fighters, show some different like insights into different things. You could have literally done like a series of like after training camp or something, and you get like, give me a 30, you hit up all of the fighters and go, hey, we want a 30-second video after a really hard training camp where you can just tell us a little bit about, you know, what you're working for, how hard you're working, just your hardest training camp. Like one day when you feel like you worked really hard, just throw someone the camera and have them record 30 seconds of you, you know, panting, out of breath, sweating, and just talk a little bit going like, hey, you know, I'm putting my all into this, and put those up over and over again and keep promoting it. But no, instead they just keep doing like, they keep posting the old fights and stuff of like their previous events.
Shortly before this event, like a few weeks ago, and it looked like they really weren't selling a boatload of seats anyways. In fact, to the point where even sections of the arena had to be basically cordoned off so that people could be more amalgamated closer to the actual fight. So, okay, this time, to prevent Creator Clash from not donating to charity, which is apparently one of their mission statements, the charity this time was Stand Up to Cancer. And unfortunately, I have to say that cancer seems like it's doing a pretty good job of winning, because they have a goal of $1 million, which I guess this time they decided to not properly advertise, because before this, $200,000-ish something from, I believe, the Hassan Piker community came in. They raised around $10,000, maybe a little bit over, from my metrics. So again, all related to internet drama, they were able to raise up this community from a secondary community, not even through the efforts of Ian, and I would say, honestly, even the fighters associated. They were barely promoting this. So this time they had Tiltify that was basically organizing the ability for them to raise the charitable funds. So people could just donate to Tiltify, and that money would be separated from Creator Clash raising any money. So basically at this moment in time, the structure seems to be that Creator Clash is a for-profit event with a GoFundMe link in the description below. And if that sounds incredibly harsh, just wait until we get to the transparency section. So Creator Clash 3 had less promotion from the fighter roster, which, you know, wasn't small. They had big channels. They had Funky Frogbait. You had some pretty popular Minecraft channels like Tubbo and Sapnap. I mean, it was a pretty decent card, to be honest with you. And the problem is, none of these people were really doing a lot of promotion. I mean, maybe something in a tertiary, like, you know, social media platform, maybe like a tweet here, maybe like an Instagram story, maybe once in a blue moon, but nothing really that I saw on their main channel. They weren't hyping this event up, which again, if you're not promoting your event, then you can't really be surprised when it fails. Now, remember how I said the face of the event is Ian and Anissa? They are the faces. Well, Ian decided to do something pretty wild in the lead up to Creator Clash 3. He brought back Content Cop. Now, this time, Content Cop would be targeting H3H3. You know, the same H3H3, by the way, that would provide him free advertising, free promotion. I mean, Ethan stuck his neck out for Ian when it was not a profitable time to do so. Okay, remember, Ian was already on the outs with that commentary community. He really wasn't someone that was in good graces with his old former fan base. And yet, despite all the public pressure, Ethan Klein and the H3 community did actually stand on his side. So the guy that would provide you free advertising, free promotion, even some...
Which one are you guys watching?
Of his employees, AB and Alina, were actually fighting in the event. Those two are really good people, by the way. So you might be wondering, why make a Content Cop on Ethan Klein? So Ethan's last several months at this point, I would say over a year, he's been fighting against the Twitch political community, where he made a content nuke on a prominent controversial online figure known as Hassan Piker. He's been calling out Hassan on this near constant basis, and because of all this, there's been an escalation on the things that have been happening to everyone involved in here. But notably for Ethan, he's had CPS called onto his house. He's had skulls apparently sent to his house, like actual human skull. It's all really up stuff, okay? You know, it goes beyond internal affairs. It gets to the point where the FBI is now being involved in situations. And according to Ethan, since CPS showed up to his house, he's basically been on a warpath, and all the rules of engagement have changed. And to be completely real with you, I am not surprised that the rules of engagement have changed for a man that has seen CPS shown up at his doorstep. Now, none of this online conflict seems to be stopping. In fact, I don't think it'll stop until somebody gets a permaban.
See, we know nobody fucks with white noise. Brown noise is where it's at. No, yeah, now I can actually watch this video in peace.
But Ian decided to jump onto this and create a content cop on Ethan's behavior. He talked about the force of good that was the Twitch politics community, allegedly, commented on Ethan's coverage of Israel and their current genocide of the Palestinian people. And look, I'm not a political expert, so I'm just going to keep my foot out of this. There's a lot of scholars, experts in the field, definitely not just on the internet here. A lot of good books you can read, a lot of experts you can look at, a lot of organizations you can go to. I mean, just looking at what Amnesty International is saying, you can get truly informed opinions.
Sorry, I'm starting to get overstimulated. I have to turn it off. It's starting to get to me.
Not the opinions of my dumbass, okay? So I just want to separate this right here. Now, all of a sudden, Creator Clash had the attachment of one of the most hot-button political issues of our current modern era to it. And again, for a brand that's all about positivity, inclusiveness, and just raising money for charities, the last thing any brand wants is this. So you remember that fighter card that I talked about really early? And
you want some whale noises in the background? That might be a little bit better. Just every once in a while. Oh, I can't even do it.
I said it was pretty
I used
good.
To be able to do a whale noise so good.
Well, if you go to the actual fight card now, you'll notice that for the first time, I'm not joking, we did not edit this in. This is a to be announced versus to be announced. Yeah, your prize fight. Yeah, both the fighters.
Sure, I'll bring back the brown noise. That's the one thing I will bring back.
Have dropped out. Now, Tubbo and Sapnap are still in. Kevin Lurdwichagol is still in, fighting against Myth. You've got Odd Ones Out versus Will Neff. You've got Jay LeRae versus Ali Spagnola. You've got Missing No versus Ginger Pale. Trevor Evarts versus Ren Corridor Digital. You've got Missing No fighting Funky Frogbait. And you've got Dad versus Jago. So ultimately speaking, you might be like, whoa, how do you end up losing these fighters? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the first fighter to go was Lena Ayat from the H3H3 podcast. Now, due to the internet beef, this content cop between Ian and Ethan, it just didn't make sense for her to be on the card. So for her, all that time and training basically amounted to effectively nothing. The poor girl was thrown into the ringer, and she became effectively the first casualty of this event. Initially, when this happened, she actually had no idea about this. The content cop literally dropped as the H3 podcast was live. They reacted to it live, and Lena herself apparently had a panic attack as all of this was happening. So again, it's not just the lack of transparency to the public, but it's also to the fighters. The fighters seem to be the ones that have no clue what's going on. In fact, if anything, they have to be the spokespeople when they don't even get talked to by Ian and Anissa or the event runners themselves. The event runners effectively hide behind them and just let them be the lightning rods for the public discourse surrounding this dog shit event. So the next fighter to go is Harley Morenstein. And again, it shouldn't surprise you that Mr. Morenstein wouldn't take too kindly to the fact that, you know, for him, it felt like the event was attached to the Israel-Palestine situation, and him being a Jewish person didn't really feel all that comfortable.
Front and center, we're saying some crazy shit, in my opinion, and I was not comfortable endorsing an event that would endorse
it like cut perfectly to where it looks like that was Harley.
These people and their words.
Anti-Semitic stuff? Like, what were they saying?
They were like saying things like, well, one specific thing that like kind of that was out of all the things that had been said, I saw a clip of Hassan, and I knew they were going to be doing a fundraiser with him, but he was like, oh yeah, if you've ever said anything positive about Israel, you shouldn't be allowed to even be a dog catcher. You should be treated like a neo-Nazi. And I was like, hey, my family and friends and my community, that's so crazy. All of them?
Okay, I wonder why Ian would...
Yo, this would have been better than the gameplay footage. This would have been so much better.
Decide to go down this road. I don't know what he was thinking. He could have waited until after the event was done so that he could have destroyed, you know, he could have run the content cop instead of destroying the Creator Clash 3 event that, you know, they were meticulously working for. It wasn't just an Ian and Anissa thing. There's a lot of people behind an event that are working to get this shit running. They had no empathy. For a man that's learned empathy, he clearly does not have the empathy for the people he's working with, for the fighters that he's representing, for the cancer charity he wants to fucking raise money for. This is a bad officer, okay? Bad guy. Now at this point, nothing was coming out of the Creator Clash 3 socials, so again, the fighters had to be the ones that were announcing all the problems. So next fighter to actually leave here was Freddie Wong. Now, Freddie Wong, in one of the Discords, shares this. He actually is pretty well-spoken, so I want to kind of read this out. So, illustrious fellow warriors and event handlers, I hope everyone's getting a good rest day in. In the wake of the new announcement video detailing the change in ownership structure of Creator Clash, or to be more accurate, the brief statement detailing changes in the ownership structure of Creator Clash, followed by 28 minutes of continued relitigation of what I'll charitably call internet nonsense, there remain some lingering questions that I, as well as the other fighters, would appreciate clarity on. As I...
It's like they can hear the whales. And now it's gonna be like the cats can hear the whales. This is amazing. I mean, you were just right, Alex. This was just kind of relitigating all of the stuff that was said before. So I feel like I don't have too much to add to all of this at this point. Some of the stuff he was saying in the beginning was definitely much more important, like that I hadn't seen. Yeah, this is how we do it for the faux crime channel. Just use cat footage.
I noted in my previous message, I would expect communication with the fighters to be the absolute top of the priority list, as I don't believe any of us enjoy finding out about substantive developments via 15-second clips from muckraking Twitter accounts. What is a communication strategy and cadence we can expect from the organization moving forward? That's a pretty harsh way of saying, guys, just talk to us. Ian noted in his video that I can't really have my cake and eat it too. You're either going to talk shit like a foul beast on the internet, or you're going to have a charity event.
We didn't finish Bacon Gate. I should pull that up.
Really can't be both. Does this mean we expect continuing back and forth post-separation? While I don't need all the minutiae of the separation agreement, are there non-disparagement or broader agreements in place to protect CC's reputation and public standing? I think Ian has basically led it so that the reputation and public standing don't really have a good place. What are the plans to proactively address the comment miasma that, at least for me, disincentivizes any social media comms, as I prefer to spend my time training and not slogging through the common output of internet morons, parroting the talking points of the streamer they have pledged allegiance to? Because yes, internet beefs always pretty much align with no critical thinking and just siding with whatever your favorite personality really is. Which is actually a big shame, and I totally understand where Freddy's coming from. So, bottom line is, they were not very upfront about this, okay? They basically threw these guys entirely under the bus. Now, even more so, LA Beast, a guy that famously doesn't want to get into any of this online beef, he even left too. Due to a laundry list of reasons that will be revealed to you shortly, I unfortunately will no longer be boxing in the Creator Clash event. It's the best decision for me and my team at this time. All I wanted to do was put on a show, get paid, and ultimately raise money for charity. And of course, one person says, "Are you scared?"
Dogs.
And he says he's scared of the multiple red flags and irreversible damage it can do to one's brand by being associated with the event. So that immediately struck me. I was like, what red flag could there be? How could you get a hit to your brand just by being associated? So again, even beyond all of this, even fighters like Dad, who really, weren't getting into the whole internet blood sports about this, even came out and basically told me before the event, effectively in his video, that it's postponed and it was moved to Los Angeles.
I'm still boxing. People have been asking me all.
Sorry, I gotta pause all these windows real quick and ask. Does anyone know what stream Love did the food stuff on? Because I'd like to see the full stream of it. Because I found the clip on Reddit, but I can't. I'm just terrible at putting two and two together of when he was doing what. Shirt is he wearing? He's wearing a purple shirt. It's not from this one, not from that one. Because he's wearing this. Oh, nice. Where'd that just go? There it is. He's wearing this shirt. So I was trying to figure out what one it was in, but I can't find the actual clip. Now it feels so quiet now that I turned all that stuff off. Thanks, guys. It genuinely feels so fucking quiet now. Thank you, Beppis, for the 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Alex, for the 1 gifted membership. I really do appreciate it. Y'all are the best. Shout out Brittany and Zoe, who just got your free memberships. Shout out Kitten Pillar as well for the 1 free membership. You guys are awesome gifting these memberships. Truly the best. Let's go. Choo 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 choo. I really did lose a bunch of viewers when I stopped the stim. How sad. How fucking sad. Gotta turn it back on. But no, really though. Because we could just watch it on the Reddit. I just have to do this all the time now. Just leave this like this. And just never bring it up. I guess let's just watch Love eat some bacon real quick. Eat some raw bacon. Here, I'm gonna leave the cat playing. I'm gonna turn off the noises. I'm gonna leave the brown noise on. This stream is low-key fucked at this point, so I'm gonna just leave the brown noise on. It's not fucked, it's better than ever.
I'm gonna flip this pan, and I'm gonna cut down some thick bacon.
Yeah, I got a subscriber.
I'm just gonna do a couple, like it's already sliced. I'm just gonna dice it real quick and throw a couple pieces in. It's already smoked. It's super smoked bacon, so it's gonna add a nice little smoky texture to it. It's just a little bit. Look how thick this bacon is. It's so freaking delicious. Not gonna cook it. Guys, we're all chilling. We're gonna help it spin around a little bit here. Bro, that actually is cleaning up. You're wrong. Guys, it's gonna cook, trust me. It's gonna cook. Not American bacon, let's read. Let's fact check. Let's read together, guys. It doesn't say anything on here. Thick, center cut, smoked. Here, let's ask ChatGPT. Either way, it is cooking already, so we're chilling. Hey, ChatGPT. I was just wondering if bacon is already cooked.
Hey, if you're using store-bought bacon, it's usually raw and needs to be cooked before eating. Some bacon products like pre-cooked or microwavable bacon are already cooked and just need reheating. But if it's the typical raw bacon, you'll want to cook it until it's crispy or at least fully brown.
All right. What about if it's smoked?
If the bacon is smoked, it still typically needs to be cooked unless it's specifically labeled as fully cooked. The cooking process gives it flavor and partial preservation, but it doesn't fully cook the meat.
Interesting.
So you'll still...
What happens if you eat raw bacon?
Eating raw bacon isn't safe because it can contain harmful bacteria and parasites like salmonella or...
His face. Just the way he's just like, oh, okay. So it isn't good.
The process gives it flavor and partial preservation, but it doesn't fully cook the meat.
Interesting.
So you'll still...
What happens if you eat raw bacon?
Eating raw bacon isn't safe because it can contain harmful bacteria and parasites like salmonella or trichinella.
That's bullshit.
Cooking bacon thoroughly kills these pathogens and makes it safe to eat.
What?
Plus, cooked bacon has a much better texture and flavor.
I just don't even understand. Don't most people like their bacon crispy? I guess depending on where you're from, bacon is more like thick cut and doesn't come as crispy. But I don't know, I feel like bacon is an add-in. Who wants like undercooked bacon? I want that shit burnt.
That's some bullshit, I ain't gonna lie.
Swedes, am I right?
I've had so much raw bacon in my life, I ain't gonna lie. I'm just gonna be truthful right here between you and me. I've had raw bacon probably 100+ times. Brainworm confirmed.
The thing is, the numbers are going to go up and down for my viewers right now is because people jump in and out trying to see if the show went live or not. So I keep seeing it go up and down because of that. But yeah, still nothing. Still no title or anything. My God. I guess I should put up another poll on how late we're gonna start. I guess maybe I should wait because it says 12:30. I don't know. Should I make a poll about if I should make a poll? This sounds like American propaganda. I mean, yeah. It's pretty normal to eat bacon as it is in Europe. Like, just straight out of the pack, eat it? Because maybe it's just processed different. Because I could believe that. I mean, we eat like our deli meat is cold. It's not cooked, but it's cold. You know what I mean? So like, I wouldn't necessarily think that it's weird to eat like if you're eating cold bacon, but it's got to be cooked. But now back to the important stuff.
Over Discord, YouTube, Instagram, what's happening with the fight, it's still happening. It's still going on. It's not happening June 28th. That's out there now. So I can say that, but the official announcement will come out soon.
So again, why the am I hearing all this from the fighters? Their job is to beat the shit out of each other for fun, not to be public relations, Ian, okay? I don't understand what's going on. You're supposed to be an actual fucking expert at this. Why are you playing this entire game like a complete moron, okay? Jesus Christ. How were you ever on the force to begin with? Now, I have saved probably the best for last. Ian decides in his follow-up in the Content Cop he wants to now distance himself from the event because of the drama, okay?
Future. And in closing, I will reiterate so that, there's no ambiguity about it. Anissa and I are no longer involved in Creator Clash. We're stepping down completely. We hope that the event is a massive success this year. We hope that all of the fighters...
Him and Anissa relinquished their position in the event. All responsibility is gone now because they're detached. They're away from the event after they decided to completely tank it with their own actions. So no one, I want to just stress this, people have said that a lot of this event was damaged because of other people shitting on it, but no one else damaged this event harder than Ian and Anissa. It wasn't Ethan Klein, it wasn't really anyone. You could send the Terminator back in time and terminate me.
Oh my god, now I'm about to come for this production, the production quality on this video. How are you gonna make 2 hours of kitten footage and you're repeating footage? I already saw this cat. They're lying to me. They're trying to make me think this is all new footage, but they're just going to be cycling through stuff. Despicable.
Ethan Klein, anybody criticizing the shitty event, and it would not change Ian and Anissa's actions to the point of them ruining their own event. It was their actions, their mismanagement, their brain-dead use of internet drama and attaching it to one of the most promising internet, boxing events, one of the most promising internet events you could have to raise charity, and they ruined it. So now CC3 eventually says something like officially, and the event is now in Hollywood Palladium, a much more humble venue in sunny Los Angeles, California. So one thing that's also interesting too is like, you would expect the event would make sense to be hosted in Florida because boxing regulations are a little bit more relaxed. But then to move it over to California where things are a little bit more expensive, there's a bit more checks on regulations, it makes me wonder why that move happened. And again, you have to remember, people who were...
If there is actually an issue with YouTube, that makes me feel better about my stream. It's like, oh, people aren't leaving, people are just... YouTube isn't working, that's all it is. I swear.
At the event. Now that it's not happening in Florida, there were a lot of people that were willing to fly to the event. And given the fact that, for some people, they can't even refund their seats, they can't even refund their hotels, they can't even refund their shit, these people are now sitting on a massive expense that has effectively been ruined by Ian and Anissa's shitty behavior. So why, if they already got burned flying out to Tampa, Florida, would they choose to now fly to even more expensive Los Angeles, California? Which I guess the Creator Clash 3 new administration thinks most creators live there, and that couldn't really be further from the truth. I'm sure some of the richer creators live there, but generally, if a lot of people are flying from all over the country, I don't think anybody who's burned flying to Florida now on Creator Clash 3 is going to even risk it again to fly, same year by the way, over to Los Angeles, California. Now on the Creator Clash YouTube channel, Ethan Nestor, Aaron Hansen, and Alana Pierce come together to give all the updates on Creator Clash 3. And I don't even consider this to be a great video. So there's a couple choice segments out of it. But the reason why this video isn't that good, in my opinion, is they never really properly address the rampant spending from Creator Clash 2. Like, I guess most we touch upon it is that it's mismanaged.
And, you know, likewise, like, we were devastated. As a fighter and as a producer of the event, it was awful that happened. And the audience, too, like, to know that, like, buying into the event and watching the event, thinking that their money's going to charity, and then it didn't turn out that way. The first two Creator Clashes, they ran on the same model. Naively, we believed that with the first Creator Clash, that the success of the event would be shared with the charity. So funding it through various sponsorships, but mostly ticket sales and pay-per-view sales, pay for the event, and then everything else is gravy for charity, which luckily worked for that year. We raised $1.3 million for charity. It was
Let's
great.
see how Family Guy
With
does.
that thinking, we moved on to Creator Clash 2, scaled it up a bit, and it turned out that we weren't able to make that money back and to reach those goals, which again was very devastating.
Yeah, that was actually all the explanation that I feel we're going to be getting, that they thought that they could just scale things up for Creator Clash 2, and I guess the money would be there. I feel like it would just be more honest to...
I mean, yeah, I always just check Down Detector if I'm going to look, and yeah, people are reporting a lot of outages, so it does appear that way. YouTube on Down Detector is showing it being out. Is what it is.
To admit that, yes, there was a lot of increased spending, and a lot of the mismanagement that had occurred because of it was the fact that money was put towards things that took away from the charities, okay? Maybe you didn't need to have a much bigger venue. Maybe you didn't need to have the booked out hotel. Maybe you didn't need to have the extra parties, right? I mean, one party is fine enough, but you didn't need to have, like, you know, this super expensive looking gala where apparently it seems comedians were, I guess, allegedly hired for $20,000, it seems. You know, these are all things that properly should have been mentioned in this video, which, again, I know why it wasn't mentioned. It's never going to be a good look to convince people, but again, why even bother making the video or even coming up with an explanation when the explanation we do have here just feels so fleeting, if anything? Just be honest, you guys did not really factor in the charities when it came to the parties initially, right? Like, if you were spending on...
I don't think they would call off a live for YouTube being down. They might postpone it, but if that's the case, I'll probably be off at 12:30. I gotta be honest. But yeah, they still haven't posted anything, any updates or anything. Ethan's still posting on his story. Let's see, 16 minutes ago, there was this, then this, then this. These were all 16 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. Free? Oh! I need to go there now. But yes. As soon as I stop this, it just feels like it goes so quiet. Watch. I can hear my tinnitus is now just going crazy. This does help so much. It's so true. Start a poll. Should I do a poll for if the show is not going to start or if it's going to be late? That's the real question. How late will... Sorry, just enjoy the ambient sound.
Money on the parties, why not even factor that in? Why were the charities not the first foremost expense, right? Why were they not, initially the pick? And the other thing was the conflicting statements, right? Like who was getting a purse, who wasn't getting a purse. A lot of these transparent like blurbs that, I talked about with Creator Clash 2, in my opinion, weren't properly addressed in this video. They did, however, say that they were going to refund the physical event because obviously they have to. It wasn't happening in Florida. The pay-per-view, from my understanding, is a refund, which you have to ask for. And given how mismanaged the event is, I personally would seek one. So again, I think you can just email them and get it. But ignoring this video, their transparency page is the real piece de resistance. So according to the transparency page, they said Creator Clash 3 will take place in Hollywood Palladium. Cool. Why is the event moved? LA made the most sense. It's a much larger market. It's home to a lot of creators, and it helps us keep event and production costs down. Again, I really hope that if you have a transparency page, I know you're not a 501c charity, but I feel like given the last two events, especially Creator Clash 2, maybe it's better to give people like a breakdown of how their money is being spent, as opposed to, what happened with the lack of transparency with CC2. So when they ask about the ticket refunds, all in-person ticket holders receive a full refund through Ticketmaster's.
It does seem like when YouTube has issues with it going down, it usually goes down for either the mobile, the desktop, or like TVs. It doesn't seem like it happens cross device very often. They're probably running on different types of systems or something.
Pay-per-view tickets will still be honored. If you prefer a refund, well, you can ask for it. So interestingly, when they talk about what's happening with the fundraising and the charity. So according to this, the CC3 broadcast will be run as a charity stream, with SUT, Stand Up to Cancer, being the exclusive benefit.
If I really just turned down the brown noise, I wonder how many people just wouldn't even notice it. Like they'd come in and just not even realize that it's happening.
Beneficiary. Funds raised through Creator Clash Tiltify goes directly to the charity. So again, it's the GoFundMe, the separate, portion. Creator Clash is a traditionally promoted for-profit event. The financial success of the event does not impact the amount raised for charity. Yeah, because they're different, right? Like you're making pure profit from your actual event, and you're basically telling people, hey, donate to a Tiltify campaign so the money can be separate, right? That's kind of how this is done. So why did Ian and Anissa step away from Creator Clash? So Ian and Anissa have stepped away from Creator Clash in every capacity as stakeholders, event managers, and creatives to give the event space to grow under new leadership. They chose to step down.
They do have a timed watch thing on the YouTube app. What's your guys' daily watch hours? My daily average is 5 hours and 53 minutes. I spend a total of 6 hours on YouTube a day. It's just because I listen to stuff all day long. Kind of surprising. I bet if I looked at the actual because that might just be for one account. Let me look at my watch, whatever the fuck it's called. Where is it? Can't remember what the name is called. My screen time. There we go. My screen time. How do I see the specific apps? There we go. Okay. YouTube. Okay, yeah. My daily average for YouTube is almost 7 hours. 6 hours and 48 minutes through the system, settings app. That showed me that, but then the YouTube app shows me 6 hours. It's probably because I switch between accounts sometimes. I want a YouTube Wrapped like Spotify too. That would be so dope. Okay, so that makes sense. Seems like desktop is fucked up for people right now.
Down to allow.
So who knows? They might have an issue starting up. I don't know. My stream hasn't been cutting out or anything too bad. It dropped frames at 1 bit, but hasn't in a while. So my desktop's running fine.
PC to separate itself from the ongoing controversy.
Oh, we got a title. The historic Elon vs. Trump meltdown has started. H3 show number 155. Ethan, what's going on right here, buddy? You stressing? You're thinning a little bit. I think it's just his hair's all fucked up in the lighting. Oh no, Ethan, what's happening? What's happening to our hairline king?
Controversy that they themselves started without ever telling these guys, allowing us to work towards rebuilding trust and refocusing on what the event was always meant to be, something that supports creators, entertains fans, and raises money for a good cause. All other partners remain the same. So who are the official spokespeople for the event? So now it's Aaron Hansen, Alana Pierce, and Ethan Nestor. So do the fighters get paid? Now this is a really interesting section, and it almost will make you hate Ian and Anissa, because realistically it made my fucking blood boil the first time. I'll be honest here, okay? Yes, each fighter receives a guaranteed purse to help cover training and preparation expenses. Was this purse existing in Creator Clash 1 and 2 as well? Because I heard a lot of conflicting information from, Alana Pierce, Froggy Fresh, Harley Morenstein. Like, was this something that happened in the past? Was everyone getting money? Again, I have no issue. I understand why a purse would be given, because obviously these creators are taking their time out where they're deliberately going to be earning less, and they need something to pay for the amount of food they're buying, the training that they're doing. This is not money that they're making in profit. It's money.
That makes sense. It's the ad blockers. They really are coming for everybody with ad blockers. Because yeah, I'm not using an ad blocker. That's why I get shitty ads sometimes. Because I also don't have premium. They really want everyone to buy premium. Ethan was promoting it because you get YouTube music, which does seem like a decent trade-off, like if you already have Spotify or something. But I've just never used the UI, and I don't know if it's any good. Because if it's just like a shitty, if it's a shitty app, I don't know if I want to switch over.
That is existing so that they are not going out of pocket to train for a charity-based event. It's understandable, but at least just be honest about it, dude. In addition, 20% of net profits from the event will be evenly split amongst the fighters. So, okay, 20% of the profits of the event is evenly split amongst the fighters. So the profits, I would assume, from the pay-per-view and the actual ticket sales is going to be spread amongst these guys. So we're up to 20. Now, a further 34% profit share, originally allocated to Ian and Anissa, so is also being redistributed amongst the fighters following their departure. So it's funny to me that 54% of this event is being sent towards the fighters, with a lion's share of it being towards Ian and Anissa, okay? People who really thought charity was important. Really empathetic of you, Ian, by the way, but I guess they just had a profit share from the actual profit that would be generated after the expenses gained. And remember, because the charity is in a different puddle now, right? Like, because a charity is through Tiltify, it separates the money being raised in the for-profit section of the Creator Clash event, as opposed to just the donation section. Now, I'm sure that, the remainder...
True. I was going to say I watch ads, but you're right that I don't watch ads and want the stuff in the ads. I only watch ads if they're, like, funny, if they are somewhat entertaining, which I feel like more ads need to be if they want to, like, force us into this. If they want to force feed us propaganda, they better make it taste good.
Of the net profits probably could be given to the charity if that was the case. It's not specifically listed over here.
This video does feel
unnecessarily
unnecessarily long.
Where if you look at the net profits, they had over half of it allocated for Ian and Anissa and of course the fighters. So don't let anybody gaslight you into thinking that this shit isn't a fucking bag earning experience, especially for Ian and Anissa. Now what's interesting to me is Anissa is quite possibly one of the stupidest people that I have ever seen in the history of online content creation.
Stupidest isn't a word. Stupid? That isn't even a word, bro. Haha. Threw that right back in his face.
Because one of the things that we dug up in our Rolodex was this tweet. I think it's a banger, by the way. So during the height of this, Ian versus Ethan controversy, this beef, she writes, "Hey baby girl, I know you're so desperate for any crumbs from me, so here's a really big piece of... We are not financially tied to this event. And even when we had it structured to protect us and the charity. You have no power over us. You're just an asshole." This is after a 34% profit share announcement, dude. Jesus Christ. The thing about Anissa is, there's a lot of stuff that she says that completely gets destroyed within, seconds of it being posted.
That's why she's friends with Denims. They're great at owning themselves.
There's this one clip where she was talking about like how anybody who had like a certain expensive watch or expensive item in general, I think it was over $1,000, should just be robbed, okay? Or should be okay with being robbed. Like, it's not bad if they get robbed. Like, you know what? Forget it. Why am I paraphrasing? Play the clip.
A Rolex.
Again, I've called it out for Idubbbz video. I've called it out for every video when it happens. Source your fucking clips better. Source your fucking clips better.
They get robbed. Like,
you're showing us like 4K, 1080p, like whatever this is. You know, this is probably 1080p. This probably isn't 4K, but it's 1080p gameplay footage, and then you cut to.
You know what? Forget it. Why am I paraphrasing? Play the clip.
This looks like I just got hit in the head with a brick. I'm like trying to watch the video.
Rolex. You deserve to be mugged. I'm sorry. I
Interesting.
Listen, okay.
How much is that Rolex?
That's what I'm saying. They start at like 80K or something like that. As, by the way, a class signifier.
And hey, I mean, ads do suck, but you're right, SRX. You're right, Zaya. How are your favorite YouTubers gonna buy a mansion? And plus, I mean, really, it's like a give and a take, you know, because we don't get as many ads as you do on like Hulu or other like streaming services, and the ads we do get, we're able to skip pretty quick, whereas other streaming services, other just, you know, websites in general force you to watch the entirety of the ads.
Only.
Right. Well, I was gonna say I thought it was risky to buy you a ring that was more than $1,000.
Yeah, I don't want to wear a ring that's more than $1,000.
Because I'm like, fucking.
Who's that for?
True. YouTube on TV does suck like that sometimes. That is true. I wonder how they split that up though, because I thought that it was designated per video and like per channel. I didn't, but it does feel like on certain devices you get fed more ads, and I wonder if that has anything to do with Apple too.
And like, what's funny is like, I would be fine with this if it wasn't for the fact that immediately after, you know, you can dig out an image of her with like a $4,000-ish bag, like a Louis Vuitton bag. Like, honey,
she might have been gifted that bag. You don't even know. She hates rich people.
Who is that for? What is wrong with you? It's the most pandery bullshit that I've ever seen to the audience. It's like, no, you shouldn't be buying luxury goods. What is that for? Honey, you bought the same luxury slop as other new rich people. What the f***? All right, but you know what? Where it gets to me personally, and this is the other really dumb part, is when she just straight up misrepresents facts and lies about situations. Like, this is the one from the other day, literally the other day. So you know that donut operator thing we talked about earlier? Well, what happened was Anissa jumped in and she decided to tell a story about a negligent discharge at a gun show, according to her. So this is where Anissa points out that apparently she was taken to a gun show, right? This is in response to obviously Donut, right? Where a child fired a gun that was loaded on a sales table into a crowd, and everyone just said ND. Now, if you don't know anything about guns, ND is said, and you'll hear it as a range too, negligent discharge. So everyone knows that there is a gun fired, but there's not like an active shooter. So immediately, Brandon Herrera, friend of the channel, just goes and says, yeah, I want to set the record straight. What she's calling a gun show was a live firing range. Now, immediately, Anissa, I would say in her credit, didn't like lie even for, well, listen to this. She goes, I hate gunheads. They're kings of, actually, I mean, honey, you were wrong. They corrected you. Simple.
I mean, there is a big difference between a gun show. Firing a gun at a gun show is much different than at a range. Because, like, at a gun show, nothing should even be loaded.
What was that? It was some gun event Donut took us to at a range. So you were at a range. What the?
We would never pirate anything here. I don't have a folder called Arg Matey. I don't have a folder listed that. What are you talking about? I don't have a... One sec. You know, I don't have a folder called Arg. I don't have a folder called I don't know, a folder called Arg Matey. Who would have that?
People were selling guns. It was during lunch when no one was firing, and a child went to a sales table, picked up a gun, and that wasn't supposed to be loaded, and fired it. So, again, to go even further into it, let's read more about this discussion. Let's see what she has to say more here, okay? The vendor was booted. The guns on the table weren't supposed to be loaded. It was very much not normal. The event made me hate gun culture. I went in with an open mind as a Canadian. This is what I hate about, like, Anissa's bullshit mentioning of Canadian. I'm a Canadian person, okay? So I'm gonna level with the audience over here. I know this common misconception that Canada doesn't have guns, but these are the highest gun ownerships in country. So after the United States, which is a very, very, very massive outlier, okay, let's be completely honest here, Americans got a lot of guns. Then you've got, like, Yemen as a country, I mean the Falkland Islands as well, but Yemen, which is currently in a civil war, there's people over, a child born is given an AK-47 from what I've heard. But not too far down the list, honey, okay, 7 top 10 gun-owning countries in the world, Canada represent the Great White North. And she's acting like, oh man, there's, Canada, just all guns are illegal here. Yeah, we have gun regulation, Anissa, okay, but you can still very much get...
I mean, Muda's like the perfect person to say this as a Canadian too. It is just a dumb idea because, like, obviously they're gonna have different regulations, but to ban all guns doesn't even make any sense. And people don't understand that, like, they don't ban guns in any country. Like, they still have guns. It's just civilians can't own them. Because, like, I mean, how are the Mounties supposed to kill the moose? Come on, kill all the meese.
Your firearms license and buy guns, okay? There's a very thick Canadian gun culture. I'm pretty sure she's also from, like, Alberta, which is far more conservative and more gun-friendly than where I even live, which is the province of Ontario. I'm not saying this to be, like, a mean person, but, like, the reality is these are just examples that show you, like, A, she's a complete, she has no, like, conviction for anything that she's even saying on her shows, but when it comes to telling a story or, like, narrating something, she is never accepting a fault. She never accepts any fault, but also the thing...
The Canadians have always been popping off. It's just that once they do well enough, the United States just claims them as their own.
Is she never really says anything that you can trust. You know, when everything that she says can so easily be deconstructed or, like, rebutted against, or when somebody can just, like, stick a receipt down her face within, like, a literal, like, 30-second window, it just shows you that whatever she's going to say, especially even about Creator Clash or really anything in general, you should take with the smallest grain of salt imaginable. I mean, it is insane dealing with somebody like that, especially when researching this whole, like, video. So immediately, she's her biggest worst enemy. Why would you just blatantly lie? You're not financially tied to this event? Okay, then explain the 34% profit share from the event that was designed to raise money for fucking charity.
Because
I'm trying to understand this, okay? I really am. Okay, it's not that I have a dislike for Ian. I just have a dislike for charity being used as a shield. Because that's what it's being used for here. These people do not give a shit about charity. At least Ian and Anissa. I'm sure Aaron, I'm sure Alana, I'm sure Ethan, I'm sure the rest of the Creator Clash people now really do care. Because I've never had...
I mean, they're trying to pick up the pieces. That's the whole thing. If they didn't care, they wouldn't have even went through with it. They would have just said, fuck it, let it burn.
Had an issue with them. I never really saw evil in them. I never really saw any disdain or bad in them. But I don't see good in Ian and Anissa. How can you lie and say you're not financially tied? Yet you have a 34% profit share. Now, just for full transparency, Ian just uploaded a video like a minute ago, and I basically just quickly scrubbed.
Yo, what the fuck? Did he try and, like, Photoshop? Oh my god. Just leave the box. Leave the white background box. I think he tried to, like, remove the... He tried to, like, chroma key it out. Look at this.
Profit share. Now, just...
Look at all the artifacts surrounding the subscribe and the Idubbbz TV.
For full transparency, Ian just uploaded a video like a minute ago, and I basically just quickly scrubbed over to the part where he kind of mentions this profit share, and I just want to get his words in before I deconstruct it really quickly.
It remains to be seen whether the for-profit business side of the event will be successful.
Them getting 34% is disrespectful to the 20 people that had to split 20%.
But the main controversy,
insane.
I would say, is that it was revealed with the change of ownership that Anissa and I, because we're 1/3 ownership of Creator Clash, the business, that we were getting 34% of the profit.
I didn't realize this part either. 20% of net profits, 34% profit share. Net profits or the gross profits? The untaxed? What are you getting? What are you truly getting?
We weren't anticipating this event doing well. Like, we wanted to do well enough to pay back the investors, of course. So that's one of the reasons that we were, okay with the profit share thing. But another part of it as well is that the contract wasn't structured in a way that the profit share could just directly go to charity. It was told to us, like, you could just donate your portion of the profit share to charity after the event. So we were like, okay, fine. Now, I know some people will find it hard to believe that Anissa and I were just gonna give our portion of the profit share to charity. There's nothing I could really say to, I think, convince them otherwise.
I mean, honestly, if this event had occurred, there's a lot of ways to just shut people up. You could just show a receipt of a charity receiving money from your end. But the way he explains this is just sort of like, it's when somebody over-explains something. So when you have a business that's structured, you don't have to necessarily take 34%.
Yeah, I'll be Muda's editor. Why not? Hire me, Muda. I'll make sure you don't have artifacts in your videos and not use game footage.
Of a profit share. You could basically send that to a corporate account or whatever account that the business is attached to, and you could have rules for how much money is disbursed from there, right? Like, let's say there's a certain overhead, there's a certain amount, that can all be basically like, earmarked for a charity. Basically what Ian has is 34% of the money going towards him or his share of the cash, and realistically it's up for him to decide if it goes to charity or not, okay? It's like giving me like 34% of whatever business I'm involved in, and then, whoa, hey buddy, you can do whatever you want with that money afterwards. I mean, you don't have to explain this to me. This is just basic finances and just understanding how a business effectively works or disperses money to its like executives, right? That's kind of generally how it goes. But yeah, honestly speaking, this is not really a great answer to me. Like, just because you own 34% of this company, you also are receiving, what, 34% of the profit share from, like, the events or the event night? There's a difference between having 34% of the profit share going towards you and having 34% ownership of the company's shares or the company's decision-making or anything. Again, the profit share was never best explained to me, and aside from literally Ian and Anissa,
see, the brown noise is, it's like jarring at first, but I think it's more jarring once I stop. We went dead. We just all died. That's what it feels like. It's gotta be there. Like, stopping it is, oh my god. Now everyone knows what it's like living with tinnitus. It makes me feel like my friend told me I was saying tinnitus wrong. Apparently it's tinnitus. That's like the medical pronunciation. But this like helps to get rid of it. When I turn it off, I don't have tinnitus anymore. I don't hear anything. It's kind of amazing.
Having 34% of the profit share from a constantly like mentioned charity event year after year, it seems, or at least if I'm to believe everything Ian says, just for Creator Clash 3 and maybe the years afterwards, if this event was successful and they were still on board and the structure remained the same, it's still shitty. You know what I mean? Like, you're taking 34% profit share from an event that's effectively billing itself as like this altruistic charitable thing where I guess the influencers are supposed to be paying. It's mixed messaging.
The brown noise has proven to me though that people prefer to have the noise gate off. Just leave a little bit of background noise of like just some hum from the AC or something, and people would prefer that.
And I'm not going to jump on board and just say this is on the levels of fraud or anything.
Yes, I constantly hear a little all the time. It's not terrible. I mainly notice it when it's super quiet. If it's late at night and like the AC's cut off or something, then I'll start noticing it. But other than that, it's not too bad. It's mostly from like listening to loud music and stuff.
Or anything of that nature, but it's just shitty messaging, and it's one of the reasons why people don't like to associate with charity events that are handled.
No. You're thinking of, okay, there's brown noise. You're thinking of the brown note. It's called the brown note. The brown note is a note that's supposed to make you shit yourself. Brown noise is this.
Like this, because when you don't have full transparency, and especially if you're a YouTuber where your brand is effectively the most powerful thing that you have, your brand can severely be tarnished if you're anywhere near a charity that has gone even slightly south. And given the fact that, one of the events alone was in the red and didn't even raise money for charity, yet it was still there for putting on an event and paying out people, and I guess allegedly hosting decently extravagant events. This is just a bad look. It's just a bad look. Simple as that. Ian responds on his own subreddit, all right? To read this, I wanted to clear some things up now that Anissa and I are no longer a part of Creator Clash after you guys ruined it, which I announced CC3 in its new business model.
Oh, they finally posted that they're going live? Let's see. Boom. We're going live. Finally.
The communication wasn't clear. Looking back on my video...
How much time do we think it's going to take now? We're still waiting. Going live?
And the current reaction, it's obvious it was too vague. People have a real tendency to be fucking vague when they know if they get really specific with information, people are going to be fucking mad. It remains true that I earned a fight purse for CC1 along with the other fighters, so we know for Creator Clash 1 there was a purse. And we did not profit at all from CC2. Was there a purse for CC2? Because if there was a purse for CC2, then you're basically saying that Elena Pierce just lied in her video, which is insane.
They vibrate on your watch? Like watch talk? Whoa.
So after
notifications, honestly, that's the only reason I've thought about getting like an Apple Watch or something. Getting some type of smartwatch is because the idea of being able to just look at my notifications when I hear a buzz, because I'm paranoid all the time where when I hear something or like get some kind of notification, I'm like, what is it? I'd much rather be able to go like, nothing, cool.
After CC2 failed to raise any money for charity, we knew it was time for a different business model. Would the different business model include not doing multiple trauma processing parties? Like, is that the business model we have? We restructured so that the funds from our charity partner would be raised on Tiltify separate and apart from the actual event, so that at least you could say that we gave some money to charity. And remind you, before this whole Hassan Piker fundraising scenario...
If they're on time today, I'm going to be so surprised. Let's watch it. Let's count down the seconds. Come on, everybody. Come on. What? 30! We did it! We did it! Wait. Why isn't it? But we... In the... Huh?
Where he jumped in to raise money for Ian, okay, while Ian sat there low energy as this event was raising what, $10,000 to $16,000 maximum. So lion chunk of that like money was raised through this blood sports internet drama that Ian likes to be so above. I love when these people are like, we're so above the slop, yet they're the biggest slop tuber drama people you'll find. We then decided that this year we would take a profit share from the for-profit side of the event, should the for-profit side of the event succeed. So is it an event that's about charity and raising money for cancer, or is it like, hey, here's the charity shield, also let's make a bag every year off this event? I'm sorry for the confusion Anissa and I caused. We know the event is in good hands and wish it all the success. I don't actually believe this guy when he says that this profit share is...
You're right, I didn't account for the button. 20-second delay. But wait. Just get progressively more and more sad. Huh? Why aren't they live?
just for this year. Again, companies like this have to be structured pretty much since the beginning. I don't really believe him. There's so much lies, there's so much bullshit coming from these two people that trying to trust them now is just insanity, okay? You can fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Simple as that. Now, again, I think it's just super scummy that there is profit earning from an event that is basically billed as a charity event. And look, this wouldn't be an issue if it was disclosed. But when you're not disclosing information like this, all we can do as a community is just be, frankly, disgusted, okay? We can be confused, we can be mad, we can feel misled, because honestly, we all were misled. And again, Ian doesn't have empathy for the people with cancer, certainly because he fails to raise money. He failed in one of his events to raise money for any of these charities. He doesn't have any empathy for the people fighting in his event because they become the spokespeople. They become the lightning rod for internet-like controversy. He doesn't have any empathy whatsoever. This guy is a dead soul walking, okay? This man used to be a good cop, all right? And me being an internal affair officer, it pains me to see where he's at now. It actually really does.
I will also say that this video is kind of slop, but that is Muda-Har's vibe, is taking way too long to say something that's already been said.
But I'm not going to say that I have real empathy for Ian. He really dug his own grave. He really dug his own shit, and he's going to...
But hey, he put on the blazer for this one.
I have to, deal with it. Now, it proves my point that realistically, for me, this seems like a vanity event, okay? Because if you fail to donate to charity, but you raise money through your fans who think that the money is going to charity, but all that money gets spent on parties, lavish bullshit, and general mismanagement of your event, then I don't really think you guys care about charity. I think the charity is a shield while you have an event that you can use as an excuse to mingle and pull yourself up in the LA influencer sphere, which is really what I think this was all about. But yeah, Creator Clash 3 isn't imploded. Creator Clash 2 was a monumental mistake in events, and Creator Clash 1, I honestly think, looking back on it now, probably ended up being an actual fluke. But one thing that I have learned from all this is Ian is not just somebody that is a former shell of himself, but I think he's created an event that ultimately I think has become more malicious as time goes on, at least from my personal perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your internal affairs agent, Muda-Har. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I think Officer...
It was all right. Good job, Muda-Har. Yeah, SomeOrdinaryGamer. You're so right. Some slopinary gamer. Speaking of my smartwatch, my heart rate is 158 beats per minute now. Just because you set off the fire alarm? Hey, it's okay. The smoke detector? As long as you didn't set off any actual, sprinklers, you'll be okay. That's always what I'm afraid of. Anytime the smoke detectors go off, I'm always like, am I about to get sprayed with a bunch of water? I actually used my fire extinguisher once. I definitely didn't need to. I definitely could have handled it without the fire extinguisher, but, gotta do what you gotta do. In moments of crisis. Who doesn't smoke right under the smoke detector? Well, we'll take a blinker for you. Want a weed chat today, but I have so much work today. We're gonna take a blinker for you. It's one. It's two. There you go. You couldn't disable it, man. That does suck. One time I broke my cat's, not completely, which I'm glad, but his cat tower had like a little ledge, and they're like, I don't even know if it's particle board, so cheap, but I literally stepped on it to try and just literally get like a tiny little boost so I could jump up and hit it. And as I did that, I just went and just kicked straight through it and broke the bottom. He was standing like right next to me, my cat, and he just looked at me like, "You just broke my fucking cat tower." But I fixed we fixed the little part where it was. So he's fine. He loves it still. Here, let me see if there's anything new on the Reddit. I'm surprised we haven't started. What was the point of that post, guys? He's still posting on his fucking story 7 minutes ago. Get your head in the game. Incredible episode planned today, bro. Get your head, go sit down. You posted as you were supposed to go live. No, yeah, my cat was very disappointed in me. But when is he not? I don't even know where he went. He got up earlier. Let me see if I can grab him real quick before the end of the stream. Ah, there you are. Come here. Yeah, I know you're tired. I just woke him from his nap. Sometimes you gotta, though. What's up? You tired? Huh? What's up? You don't got anything to say? Nothing at all? Come on. Got a big meow? No? Yeah, he's too sleepy. Get a close up. Get your money's worth. Oh, there you go. You want me to put you down? Huh? You want me to put you down? Hmm? Oh, there you go. That was an angry one. You always got to bring the kitty. Yeah, he had his eyes closed. He's really tired right now. I'm sorry, buddy. He's just sitting. He's just sitting now, just like this. Just. I awoke him from his slumber, but he does it to me every night, so he can't be too mad. You know what I mean? But here, I'm gonna hop on the subreddit real quick while we're waiting. I guess I was the only one at the time, pre-October 7th. Am I the only one who thinks leftovers should end? I'm just tired of listening to Hassan's bullshit and I'm tired of listening to Hassan bullshit and do nonsensical word salad and mental gymnastics. Dude is incredibly out of touch, and I have always felt that the energy on leftovers is so awkward. When the whole Kai Cenat incident, something. Hey, I'll always do cat talk. We ain't never gonna stop. Oh, automatic sperm extractor. Maybe I shouldn't be on Reddit, just in the open like this. Harley coming to bat for Ethan on X. Ethan Klein's incredibly coherent analysis of young people's opposition to Israel. Young Americans feel negatively about what the U.S. did post 9/11. This has led them to believe in ethos of America bad, which is dumb because they come from affluent families. But I want to know what this one is. I low-key want to know what this person fully said, but yeah. I like that they say stuff like this though. This leads them to believe in ethos of America bad, which is dumb because they come from affluent families. This is like almost trying to be like, America is bad though. But someone said, Black Panther said, I can't believe I watched this garbage humans channel and podcast. Ethan Klein continues to become more and more disgusting, sounding more like a right-wing grifter every single day. People can see what is happening in Palestine with their own eyes for the first time ever in something. I mean, we're also seeing all the Palestinians that are protesting against Hamas, so what about that part? You guys want to ignore that, but okay. Ethan publicly supports Palestinian rights and heavily criticizes Israeli government actions. He promotes empathy and understanding for civilians on both sides of the conflict. I don't see how this makes him a disgusting human. Actually, this is a good point to bring this up. I had seen this earlier. I didn't know if I was going to bring it up. So Ahmed had said, because of this clip of Hassan, let me just play it. Oh, I just muted. My bad.
Oh, she didn't even say Palestinian. She said Gazans. Yeah. Here, another great way to figure out Ahmed Al-Khatib being a bad faith actor is that he calls himself a Gazan American. He doesn't even call himself a Palestinian American. That designation does matter, for the record. Because of that designation that he applies, he self-applies. That's the reason why the Israeli Foreign Ministry or other Israeli politicians will routinely retweet Ahmed Al-Khatib. Okay? They do. Do you think that's...
I just love that propagandists just get retweets. That's because that's the only propaganda that Hassan knows about.
Think that's normal?
Fucking internet activism.
Do you feel like that's... do you feel like they would do that to a regular Palestinian living in Gaza?
Okay. So, in response, Ahmed said, Hassan Piker continues to act in the most despicable manner possible, sending thousands of his online jihadi-style followers to attack me, my colleagues, and friends in pursuit of clicks and relevance. This Turkish-American influencer represents the worst of the pro-Palestine industrial complex and narrative. Listen to what he's saying and alleging about me. He literally sounds like he has nothing to say and is making things up as he goes, saying that I don't call myself Palestinian but only a Gazan, grasping at straws. He's pretending that the Israeli Foreign Ministry and senior Israeli officials are regularly monitoring Twitter and just patiently waiting for me to say something so that they could retweet and tokenize me. He and his close friend, the rotten empanada, the rotten pedophile empanada, the pedophile part I added in, from when he talked about him prior. He and his close friend, the rotten pedophile empanada, have been engaged in a ferocious campaign to malign me because this is how they raise money and do their advocacy, which is fully and completely supportive of Hamas and supports violence and terrorism in the name of resistance. One of the best things that the likes of Hassan Piker can do is to stay out of the Palestinian cause and let authentic Palestinian voices speak, even when that challenges notions that millionaires like himself have about such a topic. The allies of the Palestinian people have and continue to be some of the worst, most diabolical, and I'm sorry, I should have clarified, the allies, quote unquote, of the Palestinian people have and continue to be some of the worst, most diabolical enemies of the just and urgent aspiration for Palestinian freedom, dignity, and self-determination. Completely true, and it just shows. I love what he said in the beginning, because it is just true that he literally sounds like he has nothing to say. All he has to do is, he's like, how can I paint this in a way where he's a propagandist, where he's evil, where he's this and that? Yeah, and yeah, why is he allowed to talk over literal Palestinian voices? That doesn't make any sense. The fact and the fact that he tries to turn away from the fact that he turns a blind eye from the fact that there are Palestinians advocating against Hamas. One second, I just gotta knock. Brown noise is the wave. It honestly hasn't been that bad. No, and yeah, I saw someone in chat say it before. I started watching Hassan right after Leftovers started. I was like, let me check out Hassan, let me watch him. I watched probably a few of his clips, a few streams, stuff like that. I never watched him on Twitch. I would just watch YouTube clips, but like re-uploads of his VODs and stuff. And I probably watched maybe less than 10. No more than 5. And I literally just saw him yell at his chat, saw him be like just vapid in all of his takes, and in anything that wasn't like politically leaning, like I would try and watch and be like, oh, let me see if he's better when watching like fucking, I don't even know, watching Kitchen Nightmares. Let's see how he reacts to this. He wouldn't even talk, and he would just sit there and be like, And so it's like, how am I supposed to watch it? How am I supposed to be entertained? Did I watch the Bad Empanada video about Ryan Beard? It was so bad I couldn't finish it. No, I didn't. I'll have to check that out. Maybe I'll watch that on the next stream. Bad Empanada made a video about Ryan Beard. I just don't really want to give Bad Empanada enough. I don't want to give him any credence. You know what I mean? He is just a low-life nobody that doesn't deserve any, anyone even talking about him to give him relevancy. Hutch, I think, was going a little bit far by not even saying his name, but I think you should call him out and call him a disgusting little weasel who isn't worth anybody's time. I wouldn't recommend watching any of his videos, regardless of how many idiots say that he's I think that he does a good job at explaining the history. If you want to learn history, go talk to a fucking historian. Go read a book. Don't go watch a YouTube video being like, oh, I wonder. You're watching YouTube to get somebody's perspective, to get like their personal analysis. If you're taking that as history, then you've already lost the plot, like literally. Because not many people that are running YouTube channels are like dedicated historians that actually do like archival research and shit like that. He comes off as so normal and sane on YouTube. See, I don't doubt that. But the thing is I feel like, can you always feel the energy underneath? Because when he was talking to Hassan, I watched probably like 30 to 45 minutes of them talking, and it really did seem like he wanted to go unhinged like every few seconds and had to like rein himself in. But maybe it's different because he's doing like edited videos and stuff too. Papa Gut couldn't finish it. Maybe I have to then. Maybe I have to check it out. That's pretty amazing. Awesome. H3 last week, got to meet Galia and Casey. Sample sales, did you get any of the free stuff, or was all of that taken up by the time you got in there? Because we saw in your, I saw you on your story, we watched it, you outside, but then I saw Ethan posted that there was some free stuff there too. There's comments that say, I'm glad there's voices like Bad Empanada. I mean, it's just... Okay. How did people even get... So he didn't do him playing the fucking terrorist video game? We started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will be back again on Monday to do another H3 waiting room. Yeah, it has been so much fun. And now I'm gonna turn off the white noise one more time, and or the brown noise one more time, and you're gonna feel it. In your heart, you're gonna go, whoa. Oh my God. What the fuck? Should I just leave brown noise on for every stream now? I might have to. But yes, thank you so much for watching. It has been so much fun. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Fuck you, Ethan, for saying I shouldn't say that. This is Captain Quasar signing off. Oh, I got a message? Here, let's see. Should have been content firefighter, you're right. By the way, you need to buy Diznats. Okay, I'll look into Diznats. All right, later, guys.